Good morning. It's day 3 here, Sunday the 13th of March, and it's a warm welcome to the Royal Commonwealth Pool for the Edinburgh International Swim Meet 2022. We've had 2 fantastic days of competition with the cream of British swimming and lots of talent from overseas as well. I'm Duncan McKinnell, and I am joined this morning in the commentary box by Scott Gopi. Scott, performance swimmer, now retired and coaching in Aberdeen. Welcome, Scott.
Morning, Duncan. Fantastic to be here, day 3, Edinburgh International Meet. Looking forward to some good racing this morning.
Yeah, it's going to be excellent. We've got a packed program for you for the next 3 hours or so. We've got heats this morning, more heats this afternoon, and our final set of finals this evening. Here's what's coming up. We start off 1500 freestyle, so make sure you've got the coffee in. We've got 2 heats this morning for you on that, so that'll take up about the first 40 minutes or so of the transmission. Then we go into sprints, so 50 breaststroke for the men, 50 butterfly for the women. James Wilby will be looking for a hat-trick of breaststroke wins in the breaststroke one. And then we've got Louise Hansen, fantastic Swedish sprinter in the women's 50 butterfly. Men's 200 backstroke follows that one. And after that, the women will be in. Chance to see Katie Shanahan once again. Just missed out on the 400 IM last night, so she'll be looking to win on the backstroke. Then we've got men's 100 freestyle, which will be pretty stacked. The likes of Duncan Scott making his appearance in that one. IM meet records, both the 200 and the 400 so far this weekend. After the 100 freestyle, 200 breaststroke for the women. Cara Hanlon has been close in the shorter distances. She'll be hoping to get a win in this one. Men's 400 freestyle follows that. Felix Obeck, Kieran Bird, some of these distance guys. And then we have women's 100 freestyle. the speed merchant Anna Hopkin and Freya Anderson. That will be a tasty one. And 100 butterfly for the men. James Guy back in the pool, having just missed out the win in the 200. And then we finish off with women's 200 individual medley. Katie Shannon will be back, but she'll have Abby Wood to deal with. Of course, is an absolutely fantastic IM swimmer. So what takes your fancy on that lot, Scott? There's lots to look forward to.
I was about to say there's a lot to pick from. You get the range of distances from all the way from the 1500 down to the 50, all the way across all the strokes as well. So being an X100 freestyler myself, quite looking forward to that one. It's a stacked field. We've obviously got British record holder Duncan Scott in the field in that one. Plenty of other big names in the 100 free as well, but I couldn't take a pick this morning, but I'm just looking forward to seeing some fast racing across the board.
Yeah, looking forward to it very much indeed. There's the lineup for the first of the two 1500 freestyle heats. So you can see we've got representation from Swim Ireland there. Rebecca Friel will go in lane 1, and her teammate Grace Cochran will be in 2. Ella Thatcher-Plant, Edinburgh University, in 3. Megan Spears of Swim England. Swim England have brought junior team up to Edinburgh this weekend. Amy Shields, City of Glasgow, is in lane 5. Cara Gordon of Stirling Swim in 6. Tegan Black of East Lothian in lane 7. And Rosie Smith of Morpeth is in lane 8. So that's our initial lineup. The entry times here range 17:54 up to 18:50. So expect them to spread fairly big distances between them as this event progresses. You see the splits coming up there for you. Megan Spears, the early leader in lane 4. So she is the one with the fastest entry time and living up to that in this early stage of the race. You ever fancy doing 1500, Scott?
Well, I liked the 1500 back in the day, to be honest, but in my later years in my career definitely did not dabble in the 1500. I think a couple of times at box events where they needed one for the team, so I was happy to do one for the team, but I think after the coach saw that one, I think that was the last time they wanted to see it. So I do quite like watching the 1500 though. It's definitely a good event, so looking forward to see how these girls get on this morning.
So Megan Spears through in 105, and you see the intermediate splits. You'll get that every 50, 33.96 in this case for Megan, who is setting up a pretty big early lead here. We said they get spread around the pool. This is perhaps a big lead coming quite early in this race, just through 150 meters, as you can see. And already it's about 3.5 seconds, the gap between Megan Spears and Amy Shields. And what's quite handy having those 50 split times as well. And you just see how much faster or slower the swimmers are going relative to each other. And you can see that there that Megan is really pacing quite a bit faster than anybody else. 200 meters coming up to 13.84, 34.5 there. And you can see there Amy 36, as is Cara, Ella 37. So you can see they're all around 36, 37 apart from Megan. So if this keeps going, this is going to be a lonely affair for Megan. She's going to be right there on her own.
Yeah, she's off like a rocket. You don't often see it in the 1500 usually. So it's a lot of separation towards the end of the race, but she's definitely taking the lead here early on. So different pacing strategies that people will have in mind going into this race. So we might see those unfold later on. Some people like to think of it as 3 500s. Other people may be looking at 5 300s to break up the race in their mind. But definitely off to a strong start here for Megan.
So again, 34s compared with 36s behind her. So if you are does it make any difference if you're out on your own compared with if you had somebody tracking right beside you? Is there a difference in your mindset?
I mean, Megan will probably be feeling quite good at this point in the race in terms of how far ahead she is. It's just more about management of your energy across the race, using the efficiency of the stroke as you go through the 1500. It's very early on. You don't win the race at 300, so No, I'm sure she'll be confident in her strategy and be feeling quite pleased that she's ahead, but it is quite nice having someone next to you just to pace off of, just as a gauge of how you're doing. When you're out on your own, sometimes you are slightly less aware of the pace that you're going, but looks like a strong start here, so no, I'm sure she'll be full of confidence.
Certainly looks like she's full of confidence and continuing to push on. Nice, tidy distance stroke. 35.0. So the pace is just dropping a little bit, but I think she'll settle into a pace that she can sustain after maybe pushing it out a bit more in the early stages. Still the others, well, a couple of them on 36s, then you saw a 37 come up. Still just about get 2-3 swimmers in your shot. That may change as this race progresses, or we'll see swimmers going in the other direction.
Yeah, it's a 1500, but quite often it does come down to that last 50 at the end of the race. So I sometimes hear people say that 1500s aren't exciting, but I quite disagree with that. I quite enjoy watching it, and there's all the different tactics that go on in the 1500, and pacing across the race is always an interesting to watch.
So seeing pretty steady around about the 110 mark for the 100 splits here. We'll just keep an eye on that, whether she can sustain that pace. And then we can all do some mental maths if we're up for it on a Sunday morning to work out what her finish time might be if she maintains this pace. I'll let you do that, Scott. I'm sure you're good at maths.
I was going to say, get the cogs moving on a Sunday morning. Third day of competition, I'm sure we'll manage, but please forgive us if we make a mistake.
No mistakes here from Megan. Swim England have brought a very strong junior team up to Edinburgh, as I mentioned earlier, and Megan part of that. Selected from all over England. And great opportunity for them to come together as a team, because Euro Juniors, they'll be hoping to have lion's share, I guess, of the British team going to the European Juniors later this year. Of course, the Scots and the Welsh will have something to say about that as well.
Absolutely, yeah, and I think with an eye for some of them on the Commonwealth Games later in the year as well. Big year for the home nations with the Commonwealth Games in Birmingham, particularly England, so I'm sure it's almost an inspiring opportunity for some of those juniors to maybe push on this season and see if they can sneak their way onto the Commonwealth Games team.
Yes, because it's somewhat easier to get onto a Commonwealth Games team where we've got separate representation from the home countries compared with getting on a British team where they've all got to vie against each other. And particular opportunity, as you said, for England as the host nation. Last time they hosted?
I would say Manchester in 2002, Duncan.
Absolutely spot on.
Put me on the spot there, but you know, Sunday morning and get the brain spinning.
So it's 6:54.56, so you can see there's 35. So just going into the sort of higher echelons of 35s now. So pace is just dropping a little bit. But we're coming towards the halfway point now. It's coming up to 6:50, so next time they're at the turn end, it will be the halfway point.
These girls will have done a lot of training for this 1500 in terms of building their aerobic capacities, but when it comes down to racing, these 1500s are psychological more than anything else. It's a psychological battle when you're at halfway, 750, and you've still got 750 to go. So not many opportunities to race the 1500 long course, unfortunately, across the season, so they'll definitely be making the most of this opportunity this morning.
And I guess it's particularly been an issue for the distance swimmers coming out of the pandemic, that I know that the home nations, when they were trying to get swimming back going again, they basically dropped the distance ones, didn't they? So all of the regions of England and Scotland had the Festival of Swimming last summer. No 1500s, no 800s. So it's been an issue, I guess, for these distance specialists. They've just got to do it in training, I guess, and now they're getting the opportunities, as you say, to do it long course. So this might well be the first long course meet that she'll have had the opportunity to swim in at this distance.
Yeah, definitely. The distance swimmers were probably on the suffering end of the pandemic in terms of competitions and the structures that were put in place, but definitely more opportunities coming up in the future. And I know up in the North District we've got a distance time trial in 2 weeks actually, and then at the end of April we've also got a distance part of our University of Aberdeen meet in Aberdeen Sports Village. So definitely more opportunities with the distance events coming up as we head out of the pandemic.
Yeah, so a chance to put a plug in for that meet if you're thinking of wanting another distance opportunity, or just an opportunity to swim in an excellent long course pool. Come up to Aberdeen. When is it?
It's the last weekend of April into the first couple of days of May. I couldn't be too sure on the date. I'll get back to you on that, Duncan. I believe it's the last day of April into the first couple of days of May. So distance time trial on the Friday night into the weekend of normal program of racing, 50s through to 400s. So yeah, another good opportunity for long course racing, and yeah, good exposure to those distance events all across the board.
And then of course after that we've got a big meet in Glasgow International. Also for the Scottish teams, we've got Scottish national age groups coming up in the middle of April in Glasgow. And so certainly the opportunities are coming thick and fast now for long course swimming, and it'll be the same across the nation as the English regions will be hosting their events. Of course, we've got the British Championships, which is the big one because that's selections for the Commonwealth Games and for the World Championships. And that's coming up in Sheffield in the beginning of April. And a lot of these athletes, that is very much what they'll be focusing on at the moment. This is very much a preparation meet for that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we've seen the caliber of racing here this weekend, and it's very much a final preparation meet for the trials in Sheffield in April. So only a few weeks until that, and we've seen a lot of international representation as well. And I think it's a similar sort of situation where they're using this Edinburgh International meet as their final preparation as they go into a key competition in April.
So that the Irish, because we've got Irish swimmers in this race, going in lanes 1 and 2, and they've got their trials in Dublin in April as well. Now you can see second place swimmer. We've not really talked about anybody other than Megan for a while, but it's Amy Shields in second, and then you can see behind her in lane 3 is the Edinburgh University swimmer Ella Thatcher-Plant. So that's your 1, 2, 3, but oh, it's a lonely old business at the front here for Megan, and it must be all about concentration. I mean, your mind must wander. What am I going to have for lunch? Have I got my latest essay in?
How many lengths have I done?
At least you get some help with that with the lap cars.
Yeah, definitely.
I think without the lap cars, you'd have no chance.
Even with the lap card, you still see some confusion going on. So, no, yeah, definitely a test of concentration, focus, discipline on the 1500. So easy to slip into just a 50 where you just sort of fall off the ball a little bit, and it's hard to get back on that pace. But Megan's showing some really good consistency here as she comes into the 1050 mark.
Yeah, pace has slowed a little bit. She was at 110s earlier. She's now more like 112s. You can see there 35.96 last 50 split. So very much in sort of 112 territory. We're into the final third of the race now. So it gets a bit easier to do the maths. We'll have a go at that maybe after this turn. She's going to be just over the 1250 here, 1252. So she's pacing, let's call it 112s. 4 more of those. 448. So what are we talking about? 1740, and then maybe a wee bit faster if she can pick up pace at the end.
Yeah, sure, she would be pretty pleased with that this morning inside her entry time there. So interesting to see how she gets on in this last portion of the race. Sometimes we'll see people spur on a bit as they get towards the end, maybe the last couple hundred, see the legs come in into the back of the stroke, pick up the stroke rate a little bit when they see see the finish line coming up towards them.
I know, and in a perfect world, coaches would probably like swimmers to negative split and just sort of gradually pick the pace up in the second half, and each 50 just slightly faster than the previous one. But I mean, that must be so hard to do.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you've always got that sort of first 300, which is going to be slightly quicker when you've got the start and just the initial part of the race, and then people settle into their rhythm, and then you would hope that the background of training that they've done, that they will be able to finish off the race strong. But it's all about tactics and awareness of pacing and strategy. So yeah, you've always got a plan. Execution of the plan is the goal, but every race is just a learning opportunity. So good experience for everyone in this race.
So you see 35.6, the last split for Megan, so slightly faster than she had been going. So we'll keep an eye on that and see whether she can bring that number down with each length that we've got still to do. So this is 2:50 to go, 14:40, so back to 36. So you see they're starting to lap now. Lane 1 is Rebecca Friel, 16-year-old from Swim Ireland. She was entered 18:40, so around about 46 seconds slower than Megan on paper. So, well, maybe struggling to get that pace if she has been lapped, but we'll see how she progresses. Of course, not getting her split up there because she's a lap behind. 15:15.97 there, still just under the 36. So she'll see that's the number 3 there on the lap card. Then she'll get the added reminder when she's down the other end for the bell. 36.2, that's one of her slower laps. But you would think she will be looking to pick it up now in this last 3 lengths. When do you really put the head down and really put what's left in? 50 to go or earlier than that?
I think in the 1500 it's maybe slightly earlier than that. I think you sort of have an eye on the end at about maybe 200 to go. It depends on the race that you're in. If you're racing someone, maybe you'll be sort of responding to their moves. But yeah, definitely. I mean, you hear that bell there that Megan's just got at the 1400 meter mark, so that always gives you a bit of a boost, and then you know it's the final 100 to go. So you see Megan's picked up the stroke rate a little bit and bringing the legs into this final 100. So it looks like for Megan, maybe the final 100. For some people, it's the final 50. For others, it might be earlier, even the final 300. But definitely with 100 to go, you want to be getting moving and trying to finish off as strong as possible.
I guess it's the difference of if you want to just sort of gradually pick up pace, or you want to just leave it and then blast it for the last while. And that's one of the many decisions you have to make about how to swim the 1500. So she was 36.1. She's down to 35.5, so half a second quicker on that penultimate 50. So 17:03.9 there. So say she gets a 34 here, that would be 17:38 or thereabouts. So we weren't far off on our estimates, and this is really excellent stuff from Megan all the way through this race. 15 to go, she passed those red markers, and very good stuff indeed. Watch the clock, and she comes in 17:39.13. So nicely done for Megan Spears, 18-year-old from Swim England. Nice improvement there. You can see second and third place swimmers there. In lane 5, it's the Glasgow swimmer Amy Shields. She was entered 17:56. I think she'll struggle possibly to match that. Then Ella Thatcher Plant, and not too far behind her in lane 6 is Cara Gordon from Stirling. Here comes Amy, 18:13 for her. Ella was entered 18:10, so not too far off that, 18:19, and Cara 18:21. So she was entered 18:12. So again, these swimmers not a million miles away from their times. Grace Cochran there, 18:29. So that is a best time for her by about a second. Well done, Grace. One of the two Swim Island swimmers. And you can see Tegan Black in lane 7 from East Lothian. She was entered 18:35. 18:52 for her. Youngster, 15, two 15-year-olds in this first heat. There's the other one. Rebecca Friel. So certainly the younger swimmers, almost certainly I would think this will be their first long course 1500 for over 2 years. And given that the 15-year-olds would have only been 13 2 years ago, and they may well not have ever done a 1500 long course before. So anyway, well done, Megan Spears, 17:39.13. A convincing win for her there by, what's that, 21:34 seconds to Amy Shields in a second place, Ella Thatcher-Plant in third. There's the lineup for the second heat as we get ready to do it all again. Marion Honke is not going. She's been promoted to tonight's fastest heat. So it'll be 7 swimmers going in this one. You saw the lineup briefly, but just run through it for you. We've got Lucy Fox of Swim England going in lane 1. Ella Carroll of Swim Ireland in lane 2. Omar Schwartz of Israel in 3. Livia Kingsland of Nova Centurion in 5. Kaylin Hall of Aberdeen Performance in 6. Lucy Headley, Swim England in 7. And Mari Craig of Sterling Swim in lane 8. So here's a question for you, Scott. Would you rather be in lane 8 of the faster heat or lane 4 of the slower heat?
That is a brilliant question, Duncan. I think that's kind of a conundrum, to be honest with you. Personally, I think I'd rather be in the outside lane of a faster heat, but it's differences. I mean, you would probably be chasing people in the outside lane of a faster heat, but then it's more of an ideal situation in the center lane of a heat. So I feel like it's dependent on the individual, but at the end of the day, you've got a lane. It's the same lane whichever heat you're in. So as long as you've got a lane, you've got a chance. So I think it's just how you use the situation to your advantage. But yeah, it sounds like Marion wanted the outside lane of the fastest heat this evening.
Yep, she clearly would have been given that choice, I think. I'm sure she could have said, no, I want to swim this morning. But 8:45 on a Sunday morning is quite early to swim a 1500. I guess you're used to early morning swims.
Yeah, I mean, it's more ideal to be racing in the evening. It's slightly easier physiologically. It's a bit more challenging to get yourself up and ready to go in the morning, especially a Sunday morning for a 1500, but that's just part of the challenge.
So early days, but this one looks like it's going to be an awful lot closer than the first heat. Livia Kingsland there, off to a good start in 5, and Lucy Fox in 1. They turned there in identical times, and then up with them the Israeli Omar Schwartz in the white cap in lane 3, and there's others there in lane 6 and 7. Kaylin Hall, Lucy Headley, all up there. So 2:15.99, Livia Kingsland. Interestingly, a little slower at this stage than Megan Spears was. So as you said, if you've got a lane, you've got a chance. Doesn't matter if you're in the first heat or the faster heat. Just swim your race.
Yeah, and we saw Megan go out quite fast compared to the rest of the heat, so it'll be interesting to see how these girls progress through the race in terms of their pacing strategies.
Yeah, so remember she was 34s initially, then 35s, and then settled into 36s. And you see Livia there on pretty much on 35. Omar a little bit slower, and Lucy Headley. 2 Lucys, so we're going to have to watch out for that. Lucy Headley, Lucy Fox, pretty much together. And of course, we've got an Aberdeen interest in this one. Kaylin Hall in lane 6, also in the white cap.
Yep, coached by Patrick Miley up in Aberdeen. So Sure, Kaylin's seizing the opportunity this morning, the 1500, see where she's at. Same with all the other girls, quite an international heat this one. Representations from England, Ireland, Israel, all over the place. So yeah, really good to see.
Yes, we had a great entry for this year's Edinburgh International. I think people are just so glad to be back in the pool and competing against each other and grasping all the opportunities they are. And also now that international travel is opened up somewhat and people don't have to go through huge isolation hoops and whatever to travel from country to country, it has allowed these international teams to come to Edinburgh with a minimum of fuss and bother. But it's Olivia Kingsland, so another down from south of the border, Nova Centurion, Nottingham, in the green cap. So we've got a number of teams sporting green this weekend. Nova, of course, Millfield School, and Swim Ireland in particular, but it's Nova at the moment. So through the 400 in 4:35.36. So it does look like the pacing is now a little bit faster than Megan Spears, although still a couple of seconds back on her split, but that I imagine will disappear fairly soon.
Yeah, it looks like she's settled into a rhythm of consistent 34s here, so we'll see if she maintains that consistency. Even a small difference in a 50 adds up over a 1500, so just a small change in pace across the race adds up to quite a lot at the end of the race. So 35.1 there, we'll see if she can maintain that or even sneak under the 35s, maintain those 34s as she goes through the race.
Yeah, 35.1 for Olivia, 35.2 for Lucy, 35.3 for Omar. So as you said, those 0.1s of a difference over multiple lengths start to mean something.
Yeah, and I think you look at the amount of turns in a 1500. Some people tend to overlook that, but if you've got more turns in a race, you've got more opportunity to gain some time, but also lose time. So I think the importance of the turns in the 1500 should not be undervalued.
So in terms of the technique of a distance swimmer versus, say, if you're doing the 2 or the 4, so middle distance swimming, what would you expect to see different in the stroke and in the in turns as well?
Yeah, I mean you'll see a much it's different because everyone has a different strategy in terms of their technique and stroke rate and efficiency, but you tend to see a much lower stroke rate, much more distance per stroke using the efficiency. The leg kick will probably be slightly less than you would see on 100, 200, but consistent across the race. So I think it's all about maintaining that stroke length and efficiency and consistency across the race. But you will see some people use a much higher rate, but also in a 1500 you'll see some people almost turn into a catch-up stroke where they're really using the length of their stroke. So yeah, much more efficiency and distance per stroke in a longer race. And the turns, it's more about speed off the walls, to be honest, in terms of getting it in and out of the walls fast. You won't see many people that utilize the underwater as much as they would in the shorter races. So we'll have a look at that as we progress through the race.
So the 3 swimmers staying in touch with each other here, with Olivia is gradually building her advantage, but not drastically. Omar Schwartz in 3 and Lucy Headley in 7. Lucy, another of that Swim England junior contingent. They're pretty close together. You can see 7:33 and 7:34. So a gap of, what's that, just over 3.5 seconds for Olivia. And she's continuing to just pace that slightly faster than the other 2. And you see down on the bottom of your screen, Lucy Fox, the youngest swimmer, well, equal youngest with Omar, 16-year-olds. It's age at the end of the year is how we do it. So they might still be 15. 8:04.28, so now the pace is faster than Megan Spears. So as we said, Olivia is pacing steadily faster, having gone out slightly slower in the early stages of this race compared with Megan in the previous heat. But that steady pacing, well, that 1 or 2 seconds faster per 100 is just moved her through, and is now at the same stage as about 1.5 seconds faster than Megan was. And the gap, so I said it was 3.5 seconds a couple of minutes ago, it's now up to 5 seconds. You see 34.8 versus 35.3, so you just keep those 0.3s, 0.4s, and it's just relentless, isn't it?
Yeah, it adds up over time, so that's what it is. It's all about consistency and managing the race and your pacing, and you'll see these 34.8s, and hopefully if she's paced it correctly at the end of the race, she'll maybe even bring those down to 34 lows, maybe even back at the end of the race, 33s and a 32 to finish off. So yeah, it's all about consistency, and point 1, point 2, point 3 makes a massive difference as you go through the race.
And it's exactly the same again, 34.7 against Oma's 35.2. And now Oma starting to outpace Lucy Headley and just opening up a bit of a gap there between second and third, the white cap and the black cap. So Israelis, I know, I've spoken to some of the coaches, are really enjoying their trip to Edinburgh this weekend and getting a lot out of this meet, I think, because they'll be making their own preparations for World Championships and European Championships, and for the younger swimmers like with Oma that we're seeing for European Juniors.
Yeah, I was speaking to an Israeli coach, and he'd said they'd identified a junior team to bring over as a racing opportunity to prepare for those junior competitions. So definitely really good exposure, international racing.
And just the idea of traveling as a team, I guess, you know, we were talking about the Swim England junior team, get people into the discipline of being part of a team in what is an individual sport.
Absolutely, yeah, individual sport, but very much a team environment. It's pretty much a team sport, to be honest. I think people undervalue the team aspect of swimming, and especially to prepare people to go away to those championships like the European Junior Championships, that we're going away as a team. So it's the independence and the team sort of morale that they need to develop. So definitely a good learning experience. Challenges here and there, but you know, prepare them well for those competitions when they do travel away as a team.
Yeah, and mutual support society that is required. Because sometimes things don't always go your way, do they? And you need that support more than ever.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when you've got a good team around you, then I guess there's always someone to talk to, and there's always positives in the race that maybe you couldn't see, so somebody else can maybe help you identify those positives that aren't as aware to you after a race that you've just done.
So now around about 7 seconds faster at the 1,000 meters than Megan was. So we start thinking about what sort of time we might be seeing here. And Olivia entered on 17:19. She's not going to be a million miles away from that, but she might just struggle to hit that mark. I don't think she'd be too bothered about that. That would be might well be a short course conversion. If it's not, it would certainly be a rested time. And I guess for these distance swimmers, the resting or swimming in full training, there must be a huge difference, I would guess, in what you're able to produce.
Yeah, definitely. It depends on the training that they've been doing, but you would probably tend to expect that the distance swimmers may be under a bit more fatigue coming into these competitions where they haven't been rested for. But we did see Dan Jervis at McCullough meet go 14:51, so there's definitely opportunities there to be swimming fast in season. It's totally individual as to the training that people have been doing and the preparation for this particular event we're talking about.
Yes, he was very impressive over at the McCullough meet where Swansea sent a strong team, and he'll be looking for big things in the Commonwealth Games for Wales for sure. There's been a bit of a dearth in British swimming, Dan being the honourable exception on the male side, and I guess the other Welsh star, Jazz Carlin, of course, retired now on the female side. So do you think we could see a generation coming through to follow these people?
Yeah, I would hope so. I think distance swimming in the UK is a massive opportunity, and I think in the rest of the world it's a huge opportunity. So we've absolutely had some stars across the years in the distance event, Rebecca Adlington as well. So yeah, I would hope to see the juniors encouraged to participate in these events and give themselves the opportunity to have some success and really see the event as an opportunity. So I would hope going forwards that moving out of the pandemic and the situations that we've been in over the last couple of years, that UK distance swimming will really start to push on.
Yeah, let's hope so. I know that Scottish Swimming have been working on distance camps and the like to try and encourage a group of distance swimmers to develop. So we're still pacing very much around the 110 mark. See there, 35.6, so a little over 110 pacing there. 14.28, 14.38 for Omar, so nearly 10 seconds the gap now. As we come up towards 200 to go. And can certainly get a feel of what the finish time is going to be, around about anyway. So just going through the 15 minutes, 15.03, and still very much on that 35-second pacing. So level pacing would be in the 1720s, so maybe get down to about 1720. So Olivia enters 1719, so she's there or thereabouts. So against her entry time, it's only not going to be a big improvement on that. She may just not quite get to the 1719, but we'll see if she can pick it up. We talked about when to go, and Olivia's not gone yet. 35.65 for that split. 35.55 for Omar, so still with 10-second gap. She's going well. Omar Schwartz entered 17.19, so pretty much the same entry time as Olivia. It's at the moment looking as though she'll come in about 10 seconds behind her. Their bell sounds. 16.14, so a little bit of picking up pace there. 34.8.
That bell always gives you a bit of a boost of energy, so we'll see how these girls finish off the race. See the legs coming in there for Olivia. We'll see what she splits on this 50, but definitely last 100 sprint finish to the end.
Yeah, so it's not a solid lead kick. I guess we'll see that after the turn. The stroke rate's increased, so we're looking for maybe a low 34 here. Let's see. Well, no, 35.5 actually, so leaving it till the end. Omar has gone faster earlier. She was into the 34s.
Just coming into the screen there on your right-hand side.
So final few meters as the clock comes up to the 17.19 that Olivia was entered on, so not quite hitting that, but pretty close. And stops the clock at 17.24.05. So maybe that tiredness coming through, because I perhaps would have expected perhaps a slightly stronger finish there, and I guess it's about getting that experience in so that you can do it at the next race. That probably took quite a lot out of Olivia, that race. Going to be pretty close here, coming in for 4th place. Lane 1, Lucy Fox just coming in a second ahead of Mari Craig there. Omar Schwartz second then, 17.33.01. Lucy Headley third, 17.45.06. And Lucy Fox, 17.52. Shows the quality of that Megan Spears swim. That would have got her third in the faster heat. So Very nicely done from her, but well done to all those swimmers. There they are, all 7 of them, and their times. A couple just into the 18 minutes, but Livia 17:24.05, and that will be the fastest time going into the final heat this evening.
A bit of a change of pace here. Duncan coming up with the 50 breaststroke for the men.
Yep. 1500 to the 50. We've got 3 heats here. That's the first, just the 3 swimmers. 2 para swimmers there, Jack Milne and Gavin Roberts, both SB14 para swimmers. So intellectual impairments. And in between them is the able-bodied 15-year-old from Warrender, Connor Mitchell. 31s and 32s, the entry times here. So running nearest to the camera there in lane 3 was Jack Milne of Dundee City Aquatics, then Connor Mitchell of Warrender, the Edinburgh team, and Gavin Roberts from City of Glasgow. So we've got 3 of the 4 major cities of Scotland represented here. And it looks like it's the youngster from Warrender who's just edging it at the moment. 31:30, as I said, his entry time. So you'll be looking to maybe just knock a little bit off that. That's probably is a short course conversion. Is he going to get under it? Not quite. 31.78. 32.64 for Gavin. And Jack Milne 33.56.
Of course, these swimmers vying for spots in the junior and open finals this evening, so some fast swimming required.
Yes, so we've got quite a few juniors coming up in these next few heats, because there'll be lots and lots of junior swimmers swimming this afternoon, and they'll all be vying to get in there. We've seen quite a few swimmers make it into particularly the junior finals from the afternoon heats. It is heat 2. This time we've got 6 swimmers. Ryan Zhao of Newcastle in 2, closest to the camera. Murray Pritchard of Perth City in 3. Emil Murawski of Warrender in 4. Para swimmer Scott Quinn in Edinburgh University in 5. Another para swimmer, Conor Morrison of Aberdeen Performance in 6. Both of them SB14s. And Micah Van Plurk of Warrender looking to be going pretty nicely in lane 7. Scott Quinn had an absolutely fantastic 200 breaststroke, unofficial world record for the SB14. Wasn't quite so strong in the 100, which is his main event yesterday, but looking pretty handy there, 31.17 in 3rd place. I'll just confirm the winner there. Micah Van Blurk, 30.65, so nice improvement for him from a 31.3 entry time.
Yeah, very good. We'll keep an eye on that time, see how that stands up as the heats go on for those junior representations.
Pritchard in 2nd, 31.09, and as I said, Scott Quinn was 3rd. Now we're getting some of the big boys. Archie Goodburn, Craig Butler in the centre lanes. The very fine Irishman Eugene Cook in lane 6. Archie Goodburn recently moved up to his home turf from Loughborough, now with the Edinburgh University programme. Greg Butler has been swimming really well. 2 second places behind James Wilby in the 100 and the 200. See how he does in this sprint. Pretty well is the answer in lane 5. Looks like he's going to lead them in. Ahead of Archie, and a good swim from lane 2 from Ross Young. In fact, he managed to nick 2nd place there inside his entry time. But it was Greg Butler taking the win. 28.13. That's very close to his entry time.
Yeah, good morning swim there from Greg. Trains with Adam Peaty, so not a bad training partner to have when you're looking at 50 breaststroke.
Is that as long as you like seeing people's feet?
Definitely.
There's your lineup for heat number 4. Callum Melville of Nova Centurion, then 2 from the Netherlands, Eva Kroos in 2, Brown, Svenstut in 3. Then 2 from Loughborough, 1 from the National Centre, David Murphy, and 1 from the University, Dave Bloomfield. University of Bath, Marcos Iacovidis in 6. Duncan Scott, this is a rare outing, 50 breaststroke for him in lane 7. And Ben Dinsdale of Winchester in 8.
Keep an eye on Duncan Scott up there in lane 7. We don't often see him do a 50 breaststroke, bit of a rarity here.
So hard to tell from that camera shot where we are as the cameraman trying to keep up with them. And there you can see it's really close. In fact, lane 4 just edging it. David Murphy is very much the breaststroke specialist. 28.38, so not quite as fast as Greg Butler in the previous heat. And Dave Bloomfield, Marcos Iacovidis, 2nd and 3rd. Duncan there, 28.99. I guess that's really a part of perhaps being peerless IMer, so you've got to be a pretty handy breaststroker to do the IM at the level that Duncan's doing it. So 10th inside his entry time, you'll be happy enough with that, you would think.
Yeah, I would have thought so. Good training, bit of fun.
A bit of fun, 50 breaststroke. Final heat coming up, we'll be looking for the hat trick. No swimmer going in lane 1. Rest of them all there. Rory Dixon, Owen Corby, James Wilby, Craig Benson, Elliot Woodburn, Daniel Yosifov, and Thomas Cannon. So Wilby in lane 4 in the black cap. The double Olympian Craig Benson beside him. And not too much between these two. Craig definitely, as he matures, going for the shorter distances. In his prime, very good 200 breaststroker as well. But it looks like just will be taking it, 28.19. That's not as fast as Butler by 600. So it'll be Butler in lane 4 tonight and will be in lane 5. Craig Benson will definitely be there with that 28.35. We'll need to see for the others whether they make it to the open final. Elliot Woodburn, Owen Corby. Oh, in fact, there you can see it. There's the top 8. So Elliot Woodburn did make it in 6. Goodburn made it. Bloomfield made it. And that's the group that at the moment would be in the B final, including Eugene Cook, Duncan Scott, Eva Crows. Interesting to see whether Duncan swims that B final. I'm sure he will. Couple of reserves there, and then we go and look for the juniors. You can see Yosifov, Melville, Van Blurk, and Pritchard, top 4 juniors at the moment. If you're fast enough as a junior, you go into the open or the B final, and then the next 8 fastest juniors go into the junior final. That's the way it works here. So we stay with 50s, and it's butterfly for the women, and we've got 4 heats for you coming up.
Yeah, those 50 breaststrokes set up nicely for an exciting skins final this evening. Those 2 top seeds there, Greg Butler and James Wilby, went 1 and 2 in the Turner breaststroke, so I'm pretty sure they'll be nicely set up for those skins.
Yeah, so talk about you've got to be fast enough to get into that final on a 50, but probably if you're the 200, that works in your favor in the skins. So both, as you said, James and Greg, very good 200s breaststroke swimmers, so it'll be interesting. I think Wilby will probably want that. They want to get the clean sweep, win the 50 first round, and then go on to win the skins to add to his 100 and 200. But let's move on to the butterfly. Elise Cousins, Cora Rooney, Coca Furman, Holly Widows, Sharon Stamen, Louisa Stoddart, and Ailey Robertson here. All 28s to low 29s in entry times. And it's going to be Holly Widows of Mount Kelly taking the win, 28.33. That's a nice improvement. 3/10. What a program Mount Kelly is at the moment. They just produce endless supply of absolutely fantastic young swimmers.
Yeah, they're really building. I remember when they built that 50-meter pool down there in Tavistock, so definitely using that as a platform to progress their program.
Sharon Stamen, nice swim from her. Israeli. There's the lineup for Heat 2. Elise Tannis, Mae Bradburn, Yasmin Perry, Jessica Calderbank, Lucy Grieve, Harriet Rogers, Femke Hopperbrova, and Alora Dickinson. 27.0 to 28.5. It's quite a big range, really, for a 50 in a cycle seeded heat.
Yeah, big range, but not much separating these swimmers as we go through here. So see how they get on into the finish.
Yeah, a good strong start from Lucy Grieve in lane 5. It looks like Jessica Calderbank may just have the edge on her now, and she does. City of Manchester swimmer taking the win there, 27.51 from Lucy Grieve in second place. And in third place, Yasmin Perry. Swimmer you'll know well, Scott. 27.9 for her.
Good Scottish representation there in that heat. Lucy Grieve and Yasmin Perry. Solid morning swims for that 50 fly.
So the 27.9, keep a mental note of that as the next two heats go. Let's see how that stacks up for a place in the open final. Kiana McInnes, the winner of the 200 fly. Imogen Clark, who blitzed a meet record yesterday morning in the 50 breast, going in lane 5. Tame Bruce, great butterfly swimmer, in lane 3. So this one could be quite tight here and quite fast. Not too much to choose between the ones in the center lanes early on here. Bruce in 3, McInnes in 4. Might just have the edge. In the yellow cap is Imogen Clark. Others not too far away either. Maybe it is McInnes, is it? Yes, I think so. 27.55. So 400ths behind Calderbank's time. But certainly you would think that's safe. Third place there, you saw 27.91. So that 27.9 seems to be about the sort of area where they're going to cut between open final and, because there's no B final in the 50s. So
yeah, just top 8 this morning, so you got to be on your game pretty sharp. We see as they come into the finish. Yeah, the finish is so important on fly, trying to judge the wall and the last stroke into the finish. So 27.93 and 27.9. We'll see how these girls get on in the last heat.
So one of the stars of this meet, Louise Hansen, Loughborough University, the Swede, going in lane 4. Armadale of Plymouth beside her. Danish swimmer, represented Denmark in the Euro Juniors. So Louise with a 25.8 entry time. That is miles faster than anybody else. And look at her go in lane 4. Absolutely storming this one. Already a body length clear from Georgina Pryor, it looks like, in lane 6, who's got second place, and Kira Morris maybe in lane 3. But this is all about Louise Hansen. Absolutely superb there as she comes in. Looked like she was sort of easing back in the last 5 or 10 meters as well. But 26.82. Well, it's hard to see past her later on.
That was an absolute clinic in 50 butterfly. So, I mean, unbelievable start. Really just got away off the blocks well. 27.57, Georgina Pryor. Kiara Morris, 27.73. So it'll be tight for those top 8 places.
Yeah, it's that 27.9. I think maybe Yasmin has sneaked in 8th, and the swimmer on 27.93 will just miss out. But we'll just wait for the scrolling and see if that's right. The producer keeping us in suspense a little bit here as we wait for the top 8 to appear. And maybe we're not going to get it. So, of course, the results will be on Meet Mobile for you or on Swim Scotland, so you'll be able to check it out there as we're moving straight on to the 200 backstroke. But I think it was in around that 27.9 mark is where the cutoff is. So that is the first heat for you coming up in the 200 backstroke. Of Hallag, another of the Israeli juniors. Lucas Brown of Elgin in lane 2. Jacob Elwell of Borough Stockton will go in 3. Joseph Martin of Newcastle in 4. Daniel Kennedy of Swim Island in 5. Moritz Baumgartner, Mount Kelly in 6. Gideon Holinsky of Plymouth Leander in 7. And Donatus Dragasius going in lane 8, also for Mount Kelly.
Of course, all the finalists from this morning sessions are provisional until the afternoon heats are finished. So We saw a couple of people sneak into those finals from the afternoon heats yesterday. Tom Dean in the 53 heats actually as well. So those top 8s, I'm sure, will be holding their breath as they see the afternoon heats as well. So got to remember that.
Yeah, Tom Dean actually went on to win the skins. So, but it was, I guess, the surprise was that he was swimming in the afternoon heats. So obviously, 50 is not a major event for him. But when you add 5 of them together, suddenly it comes up 250, and he's right on it for it. Anyway, we're into 200 backstroke, as you can see. I went through the lineup for you, and the early leader looks to be either Jacob Elwell in 3 or Lucas Brown in 2. I think it's going to be Lucas just touching first, 30-13. Elwell 30-47. And then Joseph Martin in third, 30-99. Oh, fairly tight here. Entry times range 209 to the high 211s. Jacob Elwell, I think, just turning first this time. Only by 400s, 104.27 against 104.31. And Baumgartner 104.43, so just what, 1600s between the top 3. But that's, I think, changing a little bit now. So Lucas Brown just dropping back a little bit and moving up. Yahav Halag in lane 1. Good second half coming through from Moritz in lane 6, and he's now taken the lead. Look at that 33-4 split compared with Jacob's 34-1.
Yeah, good turns from some of those boys there. See how they come through to the finish here. Different styles of backstroke going on here. Some much higher rate from Jacob compared to the other boys.
So as we come to the finish, you can see it's pretty tight in the end. Baumgartner just holding on. 2:11.13 against Halleck's 2:11.31. And we talked about pacing in the 1500 earlier on, and how about in the 200s?
Yeah, 200 is an interesting one. The 200s differ across all the strokes. 200 backstrokes, you've obviously not got as much off the start as you do off the blocks. So you're kind of looking at not an even split, but the splits are relatively tight when you're looking at the 100 splits. But different strategies. I mean, you always watch Luke Greenbank do a 200 backstroke, and his last 50 is always phenomenal. So I guess it plays to your strengths. What is your strength? Is it more the back end of the race, or is your strength more in that 1500 area? And do you really need to utilize that on the front half of the race to be able to do a solid 200?
So you saw there the lineup for Heat 2. Thomas Maskell of Derwent in 1. Michael Flynn, City of Glasgow in 2. Bryden Byrne of Swim Ireland in 3. David Miller of University of Bath in lane 4. Conor Massey of Aberdeen Performance in 5. Isaac Dodds, Swim England in 6. Neddy Irwin from the National Centre in Limerick in 7. And Robert Burgess of City of Glasgow in lane 8. 2:07s and 2:08s the entry times here. Nice start in lane 5 from Conor Massey, and also over at the top of your screen, Robert Burgess. Well, not much to choose between any of them.
No, it's more about the first half of the race, trying to get out fast, but not hard at all. So it's the efficiency of that first 100 meters. How much energy can you conserve for the second half of the race, but still getting out fast? It's always that elusive term of easy speed. Sometimes it's impossible to find, that it may not be accessible a competition like this, depending on the training that people have been doing coming in. But good start here from lane 6 there. Isaac Dodds from Swim England. We talked about the strong Swim England contingent they've had this weekend at the Edinburgh International Meet.
Yeah, it is Isaac just turning first, 1:03.07. He's now about 3/10 up on Robert Burgess. He had the misfortune of being DQ'd in the 800 yesterday, which must be very dispiriting, swimming 800 and then you find you DQ'd for a twitch on the blocks.
Yeah, not the race that you want to be getting disqualified in. At least you would hope that they'd tell you after you've done the first 50 or something. But 800 free into a 200 back, so he's showing his versatility here this morning.
So final turn, and it is Isaac Dodds, but only by a quarter of a second. Bryden Byrne, the Irishman, now moving up nicely.
Yeah, you see those splits on the screen there. Bryden Byrne 32.6, so a very strong third 50 there compared to Isaac 33.2. So he's definitely got the momentum on his side coming into the final 25.
And, well, he's right up there. Is he going to win it? We'll see. It's between him and Isaac Dodds. And there's not a lot to separate them. Let's see as they come in. It is Bryden Byrne, another fast final 50 as well, 2:09.10. So, I mean, that demonstrated in space what you were talking about earlier, Scott, about the different tactics involved, and that was definitely a second half blitz there from Bryden.
Yeah, definitely. Came through strong there at the end, 2:09.1. Isaac was out in 1:03.0, 1:06.3, so there's evidence of that pretty narrow split, and Bryden himself was definitely a lot narrower than that, coming 32.32 on the back end. So, yeah, showing their strengths there. Bryden coming back very strong on the second 100 of that 200 backstroke.
Heat 3, Robbie Jones, Loughborough University M1, Matthew Ward of Mount Kelly in 2, Cameron Travis of Aberdeen Performance in 3, Ben Harrison, Loughborough University in 4, Robbie Hemmings of Swim England in 5, Harry Shalaman of Loughborough University in 6, Hubert Kadaniak of Mount Kelly in 7, Adam Graham of Millfield in lane 8. These swimmers entered 2:05 to 2:07, so 2:09.10, which just saw from Bryden, the fastest so far.
Strong junior contingent in this heat with five juniors in this heat, so very impressive.
Yep, so they'll be looking for second swims in one of the finals. They'd love to be in the Open or the Junior final, or the B final rather, but the Junior final is there for them. Robbie Hemmings, one of them, Swim England swimmer, taking it out in lane 5. So he's up by about a metre and a half at the halfway mark, 29.04. That is the fastest split so far, by more than a second. Tight behind him. Going nicely, Robbie Jones in 1 and Matthew Ward in 2. Starting to make a move in lane 4 is Ben Harrison. And right up at the top of your screen, Adam Graham is doing pretty well, but I think it's going to be the early leaders still leading at halfway. 1:00.9 for Robbie, 0.6 up. Pretty even pacing between him and Matthew Ward. So let's see if we've got any second half turbochargers here.
Looks really good there, Robbie. Nice smooth stroke. See his head position very still in the water. So he's had a solid start, but it's a 200-meter race. So as we saw in the last one, sometimes there's final bursts of finish there, but Robbie still turning in there, 150 mark, 1:33.1, 32.2 for that split. So still going strong.
Yeah, so you can see 32.2 and then 32.9 for Matthew and Ben. So Matthew Ward, though, might just pick up the pace in lane 2 and lane 4, Ben Harrison as well, but hard to see anybody catching Robbie Hemmings now. He's done the hard work, just needs to sustain it through to the wall, which he does very well. 2:05.57. He'll be pretty happy with that, I think. Half a second inside his entry time. And as you said, Scott, did it in a really nice way with, you know, beautiful technique throughout that race.
Yeah, definitely. It's all about sort of body position in the backstroke, keeping nice and high in the water, head still as possible, and moving smoothly through the water. So looking at those 50s there, consistently 32 lows. So I guess you're looking at those 350s after that initial 50 to be as consistent as possible. So he did an unbelievable job there, and was rewarded there. 2:05.5, great swim for this morning, and was under his entry time there.
Yep, Ben Harrison second, Matthew Ward was third. We go into the cycle seeded heats now, the first of three of them. That's your lineup. Jamie Ferguson, Aberdeen Performance in 1, Inbar Danziger of Israel in 2, Mark Ford of City of Glasgow in 3, Craig McNally of Stirling University in 4, Cameron Brooker of Bath National Centre in 5, Jacob Greeno of University of Bath in 6, Adrian Santos Martin of Spain in 7, and Evan Jones of Millfield in lane 8. Evan Jones, looks like actually we've got an empty lane in lane 8, so no Evan Jones. I was just about to start talking about him. Maybe I won't. Start in 5, Cameron Brooker. And we talked about people who blitz the second half. Normally you put Craig McNally into that category in lane 4.
I think he's right up the top of that category. I was thinking exactly the same when I saw McNally in lane 4 there. Definitely final 50 is what you'd expect Craig McNally to come through strong at the end. Over the years he's shown that as his style in the turner backstroke, and it's been incredibly effective.
World Championship finalist in his pomp. 30 now, can you believe it? One of the old men of Scottish swimming.
Don't tell him that.
Oh, I think I could do that and then run. He could probably run faster than me though. Pretty tight. Brooker, Greeno, Danziger, McNally, all there or thereabouts. 1:00.50, halfway split. Cameron Brooker from lane 5. Good. Inbar Danziger go. He's looking good in lane 2. The Israeli
junior, yeah. He's probably got his eyes on those open finals, so coming up to the 150-meter mark, it's that all-important last turn. See how much they utilize that underwater phase, really propel themselves into that last 50 meters.
But Craig McNally looks like he's going to live up to our billing on the second half. 31.4 there for his third 50. But Inbar is going with him here. The two of them now clear of Cameron Brooker in lane 5. It does look like McNally has got this one under the belt now. And finishing off with a 30.7 to come in 2:03.22. Looking, I think, for a big season here.
Yeah, there's a lot of opportunities, isn't there, on the international stage with Worlds, Europeans, and Commonwealth Games. Commonwealth Games a big one for the Scottish athletes. So.
Danziger, a great swim from him, 2:03.65. Pretty close to his entry time. Brooker in third. So again, just keep your eyes on that time. Third place there, 2:04.94. That's faster than any of the previous heats. So that 2:05 mark may be around about the gap between the open final and the B final. There's the lineup for heat number 5. Alex Sargent, Stirling University in 1. Jonathan Adam of Bath National Centre in 2. Nathan Whiffin at Swim Ireland in 3. Elliot Clogg, Loughborough in 4. That's National Centre. Then the University of Loughborough, James McFadden in 5. Pedro Sanchez Castillo goes in 6 for Spain with his teammate Marcos Martin Larguillo in lane 7, and Lewis Maxwell, the University of Bath, in lane 8.
Empty lane there in lane 4, so no Elliot Clogg in this heat.
Good spot. So that opens the door for a few others. And Jonathan Adam, who had a very good 50. 28.13.
Again, that comes back to us talking about the strengths of the swimmers earlier. Strong on that first 50, so he's looking to take out this race, and we'll see how the pacing progresses across this race. Did see in the last heat, Craig McNally gives an absolute clinic in pacing. He was 32.0, 31.4, 30.7, so did live up to our expectations of that final 50 being very fast. So looks like Jonathan Adams taking out this race pretty strong there. 59.8 at the 100.
Yep, first to duck under the minute at the halfway point. 31.7 McFadden and Castillo both slightly faster on their split, so they could start to put the pressure on in the second half. Two black caps there, lanes 5 and 6. They're right up there now with Adam, who's going to get the touch at the 150. Very, very tight. 32.2 McFadden, 32.1 Castillo. So just a 10th in it.
Yeah, James and Pedro looking strong on this final 100, just slightly moving ahead of Jonathan Adam now. So looks like Pedro might be coming just towards the front of this race, but James definitely up on his shoulder. So we'll see who gets into the finish first here.
So who is it going to be? I think it's going to be lane 6. It is Castillo getting the touch. 2:04.11. Not quite as fast as we saw from Craig McNally in the previous heat, but a good solid swim, which will surely guarantee his place in the open final tonight. Just waiting for that result to be confirmed. It has been now. McFadden second and the early leader, Jonathan Adam, in third. Marcos Boguillo, he dropped back a bit alarmingly in that last 50, so probably is going to have to settle for the B final, assuming that he's able to make that on that time. Here's heat 6.
It's always a nervy wait when you're in the first couple of heats. The guys in the last heat usually have a bit more of an idea of the time they need to do to make the final. So, yeah, can't leave anything in the tank when you're in the first couple of heats, because you just don't know how fast the heats are after you.
So the final heat all lined up, ready to go. Charlie Hutchison, Loughborough National Centre in 1. Mads Muller of Hovedstatens in Denmark in lane 2. Toby Hill, City of Manchester Aquatics in 3. Brodie Williams, Bath National Centre in 4. Jacob Neeson, Hovedstatens in 5. Oliver Morgan, Birmingham University in 6. Oliver O'Halloran of Derwentside in 7. And Connor Cherrington of Millfield in 8. Oliver Morgan provided one of the moments for me of the meet so far when he won the skins last night and got onto the lane rope and gave a real Olympic celebration. He was clearly delighted to survive through the 5 rounds and winning it.
Rightly so as well. You might as well celebrate the moment. Not often you have 550s of skins like that and win on a touch by, I think it was 6 100s in the end over Joe Litchfield. So absolutely celebrate those moments.
Yeah, the joy of swimming. So Brodie Williams in the white cap, and just beside him Toby Hill in the dark cap. The early leaders here, Bath and Manchester respectively. Brodie looking pretty strong.
Brodie got a good pedigree in the 200 backstrokes. IM swimmer as well, so versatile athlete, but particularly strong on the 200 backstroke. And look at those underwaters, they're unbelievable from Brodie, coming up about 12, 13 meters there. So really utilizing those underwater sections off the turns.
If you're a young swimmer, how hard are you expecting people to push that underwater section? And is it something that you have to develop as you mature, or can you do it from a fairly young age?
I think it's all about consistency and application in training, whether it's 2 kicks you're going to do or 3 kicks. I think it's just about ingraining that technique over you having the discipline to do it consistently in training. If you don't do it consistently, it's going to be hard to bring it into the arena. And I think it's all about progression as well. So it's not necessarily starting as a junior, seeing the guys doing 8 kicks underwater. Maybe you'll start with 2 and progress that as you develop across the years.
But this is a bit of a 200 backstroke masterclass coming in here from Brodie. So 2:03.22 was Craig McNally's time. This is certainly going to be faster than that. Very, very nicely done. 2:02.01 in on a 32. Fast finish from Oliver Morgan, showing that sprint skill at the end of that. Takes second, 2:05.26. Jacob Neeson in third. So I think that probably installs Brodie as the clear favourite tonight, if he wasn't already.
Yeah, definitely. He was the top seed coming into this 200 backstroke, so maintained his position there going into the finals. But I'm sure some of those other boys might have something else to say about that. Craig McNally there in second place, and a good international contingent there with Israeli and Spanish swimmers there in third and fourth. So we're looking forward to that one this evening.
2:03 from the junior swimmer. That's pretty nifty from Danziger.
Yeah, that's not bad. So setting the standard there for the junior swimmers, and he'll be there in the A final. So.
And running through the full summary of the results. You can start to prepare ourselves for the women's 200 backstroke. Running the backstroke events back to back, men and women, so we don't have to get the ledges out too often, I guess.
Yeah, definitely backstroke ledge. Well, reasonably new addition to swimming. They've been around a while now, but nice little addition to the backstroke start. Give you a little bit more support underfoot as you push off the ball. We have seen a few malfunctions over the years with the backstroke starts as everyone gets used to setting them up, but hopefully none of that this morning.
So in this one we've got 6 heats again. 4 in the first. There they are, Susie McNair of first, the Falkirk-based team. Emily Headley of Newcastle in 4, Charlotte Williams of Hatfield in 5, and Gabby Freeman of Morpeth in 6. So the times here, 2:23s to low 2:24. All juniors. Gabby Freeman, the youngest of them, just 14 this year, Morpeth swimmer. Not too far to travel for her. Northumberland up to Edinburgh.
Yeah, good to see young swimmers here in the morning heats. It's a good achievement in itself to be in the morning heats. So definitely some strong junior swimmers here in the 200 backstroke this morning. 4 juniors in this heat, so I'm sure they'll be pushing towards those junior finals this evening.
Yeah, one of the things, of course, to remember is that it's a considerable achievement just to get an entry into this meet. Such a high caliber meet with so many top athletes. So to be swimming in the morning as a youngster, that's a real achievement. It just shows your quality as an up-and-coming youngster. So halfway mark, it's pretty close, lanes 3 and 4. Emily Headley just leading Susie McNair through the turn, 1:10.92 and 1:11.28. Emily also not too far to travel, Newcastle.
Always makes it a little bit easier when it's not too far to travel, but it's quite nice when you go away to a new pool, different environment. Sometimes brings out the best in you, but all this racing is just good experience. So good or bad, all learning, and yeah, really high caliber of competition here.
And very close here at the 150 turn. Emily and Susie on identical splits, 38.23, which means that the nearly a half-second gap is maintained in Emily's favour. 49.15, but, well, it's a tough one to call, this one. Looks like Susie is developing a bit of momentum in lane 3, and the other two locked together in a contest for 3rd place. So really good race going on here, and they will want to win it. Who's going to get the touch? It is Susie McNair. 2:26.18 for her. Just ahead of Emily Headley. And it looks like it was Charlotte Williams just edging that 3rd place contest. We'll wait for confirmation of that. Just taking a little while to come up. I don't know whether there's some discussion going on with the officials about that one.
The suspense on the screen.
That must be a nasty moment, particularly if you've got a feeling that you might have done something not quite right. But no, they're all fine, and there is the official result. So Susie McNair does take it, 2:26.18 But yes, you must have that nervous feeling at you. Then the scoreboard doesn't scroll into finish order, and you think, oh, what are they talking about over there?
Yeah, any sort of delays brings a little bit of doubt into your mind, even if you didn't think you did anything wrong. So good to see none of those girls in that situation there.
So heat 2, ready to go. No swimmer in lane 2. So we've got Emma Hodgson from the Isle of Man in lane 1, Lauren Farr of Swim Ireland in 3, Sophie Bromley of Swim England in 4, Aoife Doran of Swim Ireland in 5, Elizabeth Erlendsdotter of Havnar in the Faroe Islands in lane 6, Aviva Holinsky of Plymouth Leander in 7, Ella Stevenson of Bells Hill in lane 8. Sophie Bromley's had a good meet. A 16-year-old, part of that Swim England junior squad. And she is going nicely again here in lane 4, 32.27. About a second and a half faster than the first heat at the 50. Lauren Farr about half a second behind her. The Irish have brought a big contingent across this weekend.
Yeah, 57 swimmers, I was told. Speaking to John Zoranic, head coach of National Centre Limerick, earlier in the week. So yeah, big group, a lot of coaches as well. So they're really using this as a preparation meet for their trials in April in Dublin, and for a really strong contingent of Irish swimmers this weekend.
Because they've had a nice run up, because they had the McCullough meet in Bangor a couple of weeks ago, so give them good experience on 50-metre pool, and then over to Edinburgh and then down to Dublin. So a nice sort of 3-meet strategy there. Of course, a lot of the British went over to Bangor as well to do the same thing. So a nice way to prepare, I guess, for what is, a big selection meet.
Yeah, those two competitions have been extremely high caliber of athletes attending, so you would see those as the two preparation meets for the trials selection competition in April. Sophie Bromley really taking this heat though. Very good backstroke there. Turning 143.7, 36.0 on that 50. So
2:21.7 entry time. I think she could go inside that. Looking very strong indeed. In 6, the Faroese swimmer, Elizabeth Erlendsdotter. She's going well. She was involved in a swim-off earlier in the week, and we're hearing news that there might be a swim-off in the 50 breaststroke, so we'll keep an eye on that one. 2:19.65. So that is a very nice swim. 2 seconds inside her entry time for Sophie. Here's Elizabeth in second. She's also inside her entry time.
good swimming there. It's always nice to break those barriers under the 220. 2:19.6 there from Sophie. Really good swim.
And there is the summary of the result. So a nice swim from Elizabeth Erlendsdotter, the junior, so she'll have her eye on a second swim before she makes her way north at the end of the weekend. Heat 3. Again, lots of juniors marked with the J there. Kiana Kurtzer of Warrender in 1, Heidi Wren, City of Glasgow in 2, Caroline Jensen of Hobart Statens in 3, Sophie Davis of Millfield in 4, Mathilde Möller of Hobart Statens in 5, Cora Rooney of Swim Ireland in 6, Lacey Roberts of Plymouth Leander in 7, and Florence Tinsley of Stirling University in lane 8. 220s and 221s here.
Yeah, we saw a 2:19 in the last heat, so entry time of 2:20.00 from Sophie Davis in lane 4, so I'm sure they'll be gunning for a similar sort of time in this heat.
Good start up at the top of your screen, lane 8, Florence Tinsley, the oldest swimmer in this heat, 20-year-old in Stirling. That's what we're seeing is all the universities across Britain, I guess, really deepening their squads. Now, you know about the stars in Loughborough, Bath and Stirling, but they've also got considerable contingent of quality swimmers in depth, haven't they? And I guess Aberdeen is trying to build the same thing as is Edinburgh here in Scotland. But Florence is an example of that, really looking strong here in lane 8.
Yeah, there's university programs around the country becoming nice bases, those platforms for those swimming programs across the country. And yeah, Florence turning there 68.32 at the 100-meter mark, outside smoke here. So as we said earlier, if you've got a lane, it doesn't matter what lane you're in, all you need is a lane. So she's taking this race out strong.
There it is, the outside lanes really making the moves here. We've got an inverted arrowhead here. There's lane 8, Florence Tinsley, lane 1, Kiana Kurtzer, lane 7 as well, Lacey Roberts of Plymouth. So those three making the running here as we come up to the 150. And it's pretty tight between them at the turn. Florence still has the edge, just, but Kiana now is the one who's pacing fastest of those three, the youngster from Warrender.
Battle of the outside lanes here. It's not often you see lane 8 and 1 there, but looks like lane 7 coming through strongly as well. So really interesting battle here as we come into the last 15 meters. The outside lanes really showing up here.
So Lacey will have the advantage of sort of swimming off Florence, but Kiana on the other side of the pool completely on her own. Will she have any idea what's going on the other side of the pool?
No, but she will in a minute when she touches the wall in first place, 2:21.9.
Yeah, she'll be happy with that, I think, very close to her entry time. And look at that pacing down that last 50, 35.4. Much faster down the final stretch there than the others. Earns her a well-deserved win. But very much the outside lanes ruling the roost there. Florence just fading a bit down that last 50, ending up 4th, with Cora Rooney going past her. Lacey Roberts in 2nd behind Kiana Kurtzer. So now to the 3 cycle-seeded heats. And the lineup for heat number 4. Tom Menis of Israel in 1. Ellie Turner of Stirling University in 2. Ellis Shields goes for Edinburgh University in 3. Honey Osrin, Loughborough University in 4. Maria Godden of Swim Ireland in 5. Lottie Hosper of the Netherlands in 6. Jenna McDougall of Swim Ireland in 7. And Amelia Robertson of Newcastle in lane 8.
Look for this heat to be much more of a diamond formation as we progress through the 200 backstroke, but never say never. It's interesting that last race with almost an inverted diamond as we go through, but a bit of a bigger gap between the centre lanes and the outside lanes in these cycle-seeded heats.
Honey Osrin, that was the lineup from the previous heat. There we got the lineup for heat 4. She's the holder of the junior meet record. She set a few years ago when this meet was used as a selection meet for the European Juniors. That was in the Beast from the East. That was a fun meet.
Yeah, that was fun to say the least. I mean, I lived in Edinburgh at that point, so it was still difficult for me to get here. But yeah, that was an interesting time. It was 6 feet deep of snow, so yeah.
We don't have that problem this weekend, you'll be glad to hear. And nice and mild and been sunny in Edinburgh, so I'm told. Not that we're seeing any of it. But the lineup here, just to confirm, Tom Menis, Ellie Turner, Ellis Shields, Honey Osrin, Maria Godden, Lottie Hosper, Jenna McDougall, Amelia Robertson. And it is Honey. But again, we've got a good swim coming through from lane 8, Amelia Robertson. And she's just tucked in behind Honey at the 50. 31.68 and 31.79, and Ellis Shields right up there as well. And Lottie Hosper also pretty tight here. Where's this diamond you were promising me, Scott?
Something in the water up there in lane 8, Duncan. There's pretty speedy swimmers coming out of lane 8, so yeah, the diamond's not quite forming yet, and it may not form across the race, so that's just commentary for you, isn't it?
Yeah, it's almost like a wave formation, isn't it? With a peak in the centre lanes and then a peak up at the top. And it is Amelia Robertson from lane 8, 1:05.90. And to do this in a cycle-seeded heat is even more impressive than doing it in the early heat. Let's see if she can sustain this through the second half. I think Honey Osrim, and we were talking about second half 200 backstrokers, maybe Honey is showing that sort of tactic here. Ellis Shields continuing to go well, the local swimmer from Edinburgh University. So it's these three, Amelia, Honey and Ellis, through the 150. 141.42, so quite a bit faster than we've seen it, as you would expect. And Honey just edging it there at the 150 split by 500s, and maybe just starting to, I was going to say consolidate that lead. I think she probably is, but not by a big margin.
No, yeah, Honey is coming through here strong, but lane 8 still she's holding her own. She's coming into the finish.
So good stuff there, 2:16.63 from Honey. Probably swimming pretty well within herself, but a fantastic swim there from Amelia. Into 2:19, taking that down to 2:16. And Ellis Shields, I think she'll be pretty happy with that. Good third place, 2:17.93.
Yeah, good morning swims there from those girls. Big drop there from Amelia out there in lane 8. So entered on a 2:19. You can see there 2:16.77. So keep an eye on those times as we go through. 2:16.6, 2:16.7, 2:17.9.
Then, of course, there's a B final to think about as well. So those swimmers in 2:19s will be hoping at worst to be in that. Heat 5, Falkerton, Hoverstatens in 1, Olivia Butler of Edinburgh University in 2. Looks like we've got some empty lanes here. Rapidly coming to a block there, Jennifer King in lane 3. She was sort of running up to the blocks there. Just made it in time. Then we've got Holly McGill of Heart of Midlothian in 4. Then we've got the empty lane in 5. And Charlotte Evans, City of Cardiff in 6. Ella Turner of Plymouth in 7. Lexi Waller, Heart of Midlothian in lane 8. It was a bit of a scary moment there if you're late out and will they let you swim? You're supposed to report to the call room on time. Yeah. In theory, if you don't, then you're out.
Good way to get the adrenaline going before the race. It's how do you deal with that and bring yourself back into the moment and not let that fluster you as you go into your race. I think when we're talking about back-ending the 200 backstroke, Holly McGill in lane 4, we'll see how she gets on here in this 200 backstroke, but consistently very strong on that back end of the 200 backstroke we've seen over the past couple of years.
So 2 Heart swimmers at the front here. Lexi Waller now down in Birmingham University, but swimming for our home club of Hearts this weekend. In her time, one of the top juniors in Britain. Has not done too much swimming in the last few years. Not just because of the pandemic, but before that as well. But lovely to see her back in Hearts colours. At Holly, 1:06.35. Lexi still in second place. It is that water in lane 8 doing it once again. What's going on?
Sign me up, lane 8, let's go. It's always nice when you see the people in the lane before you heat go nice and fast, so a bit of motivation there. But no, yeah, Lexi, fantastic junior swimmer in Scotland, took a bit of a break from the sport, and it's really good to see her back in here, the 200 backstroke at Edinburgh International.
So, I'm not quite sure what's going on with the timing here, but Holly McGill is clearly still leading things from Lexi Waller, and then lane 6, Charlotte Evans. So that, I think, is going to be the finish order. It looks like we do have a timing malfunction here. Hopefully, the backups will come into play. So don't think about that 2:26.43. That was definitely not Holly's time. And it might just take us a while, I think, perhaps, to get this sorted. It was going fine through the first half, and then all went a bit pear-shaped after that. But sure that the technical gurus will get things sorted. but
Yeah.
just gives us a little bit of chance to breathe and think about what we've seen so far. What has caught your eye?
I think some of these turner backs have been really interesting. You saw Holly McGill there come back incredibly strong, and I'm thinking about Craig McNally as well, and some of these guys in these sort of competitions will be almost just testing their training, and they might be using different strategies. So 2:15.00 there for Holly McGill, 2:15.9 for Lexi Wallace. So really good swims from those girls as the times have come up on the screen there.
Yep, so our technical wizards have sorted that pretty quickly, so well done to them. And Holly 2:15 came in on a 2:11, so that's okay. I think she can be pretty confident, I think, about a place in the open final with that. And as a 17-year-old, she'll certainly have her eye, I think, on European Junior qualification in Sheffield in 2 or 3 weeks' time. 3 weeks' time, I think it is, isn't it?
Yeah, and also Commonwealth Games, I think, will be in the back of her mind as well for that turner backstroke. So she'll be nearing on that qualification time for Birmingham 2022.
So which one do you think she'll be keener on getting? Is it for a junior swimmer? Would you rather be in the British team for the European Juniors or get the Saltire out for Scotland in Birmingham? Or both, ideally.
I think as when you're Scottish, you always want to represent Scotland at the Commonwealth Games, but when you've got European Juniors and it's kind of the last year of your juniors, maybe you want to be targeting that as well. But no, I think when you're looking at senior international meets, they've always got to be the priority in terms of motivation to be making those ones.
We've got a swimmer here who certainly want to be in that Scottish team on this 200 backstroke in Birmingham. That's Katie Shannon, who goes in lane 4. Line up here, Lauren Bradley Holt of Swim England in 1, Madison Peveler, Dermot side in 2, Iona Colbert of Swim England in 3, Katie Shanahan, City of Glasgow in 4, Charlotte Prince-Rayner of Winchester in 5, Anna Green of Warrender in 6, Evie Dilly of Swim England in lane 7, and Lenka Uda Lemferink of the Netherlands in lane 8. So Iona Colbert and Katie Shanahan taking this one out in lanes 3 and 4. Iona just getting the touch, 31.65, only 400ths in it. About half a second faster than Holly McGill. Pretty much the same pace as we saw in the 4th heat from Honey Osrin.
Yeah, Katie Shanahan, European long course finalist in the turner backstroke. So she's young, but she's got experience in this event. So she's just starting to move through now as we head towards the halfway mark of this turner backstroke.
Yep, silver medalist as well at European Juniors last year. Not eligible for European Juniors anymore. Hitting the dizzying heights of 18. But she now has the lead, 106.46. About a metre up now with Charlotte in 2nd place. This time it's lane 7 making the move from the relative outside lanes. That's Evie Dilly, another of the juniors from Swim England.
Quite tight there for 2nd place. 1st place, in fact, with Katie and Evie turning pretty much neck and neck there at the 150, 141.3, 141.4, 34.4 and 34.8. See how they manage the pacing strategies on those last 50. Looks like lane 7 there, Evie picking up the tempo a little bit. Katie Shanahan much more controlled coming down this last length.
So it's going to be pretty close here. We have that discussion about how much you can see of what's going on in an outside lane, and maybe Katie is unaware of Evie there, I don't know, but anyway, whether she's content to let Evie win it or whether she couldn't stop her. Either way, it was an Evie Dilly win, 2:15.49. Katie Shannon in 2nd, 2:16.41. Charlotte Prince-Rayner, 2:18.31. We'll get the summary coming up now, see where they all stand in the top and the 2nd 8s.
I think sometimes in the heats, when you've got the luxury of going a little bit easier in the heats, you'll save a little bit for the finals this evening.
So that is the lineup, in fact. So it's Holly McGill there. And there's your second group of 8 B finalists provisionally. And the juniors, so Kiana Kurtzer will be heading the junior final with Volker Tind. Elizabeth Erlendsdotter will be there. So they're pretty much guaranteed, irrespective of what happens this afternoon. There won't be 8 of them going faster than that. So we're 100 freestyle. Just to let you know that this one has been reseeded. So if you are sitting on the start sheet that were published earlier, if you go onto the website, you'll see the reseeded sheet for this event, the men's 100 freestyle. There's going to be 9 heats in all in this one. And it's going to be pretty fast.
Very fast. Very strong 100 heats this morning. Heat 1 there.
So 2 para-swimmers, S14s, Louis Lawler and Dylan Blakely. Louis Lawler, of course, rapidly becoming quite experienced Paralympian in Tokyo, been in Worlds as well. Off to a great start there, very quick off the blocks. And the 2 juniors, Harley James, Lucas Brown in 4 and 5, and then Dylan Blakely in lane 6. So Louis 54s, in fact the 3 of them 54s, and then Dylan 100. 25.98, Louis Lawler just with the touch. So Louis trying to hold on here. Harley James right on with him. So good race going on here. They won't get a second chance, I don't suppose, to race, but making the most of this one. It's just going to be Harley James edging at the Cardiff swimmer in 54.14, just nudging his entry time by 300ths. 54.56 for Louis. A good workout for him. Of course, we've got Para World Championships coming up this year as well, and Louis will be looking to be playing a big part in that. Lucas Brown 55.25 in 3rd.
Yeah, we saw the qualification meet for that para meet in Aberdeen a few weeks ago. Fantastic competition there, within some international exposure and representation there as well.
So heat 2. Saw the lineup there: Solomon Williams, Findlay Clubb, Caden Wellsby, Liam McLaughlin, Evan Davidson, Tom Robertson. Evan Davidson just 15 this year from Perth is exciting prospect for the future.
Yeah, one to watch out for. Swimming under Perth, but trains out of Strathallan School with Elaine Johnson. Fantastic junior athlete, so we'll see how he manages the sprint this morning.
And it's another junior, Solomon Williams of Millfield, who has got the clear lead at halfway, 25.14, up by a 3/4 of a second over Liam McLaughlin and Evan Davidson. It doesn't look like anybody is going to get anywhere close to Solomon down this second length. He's really blasted that out hard. Pushing on in lane 6 is Evan Davidson. I think he might just be edging into second place now, but Solomon, with that explosive first half, got the heavy lifting done then and comes in 52.83, a second inside his entry time, so he'll be happy about that.
Yeah, some pretty quick swims in there in heat 2. 52.8 from Solomon. Evan coming in strong there, 53.5, so it's a very, very good time for a 15-year-old.
Yep, looking good. 17-year-old Solomon. Down to heat 3. These swimmers entered 52s and 53s. Sebastian Greason and Hobart Statton's in 1. Ruben Rowbottom Keating, he's had a successful meet, goes in lane 2. Connor Fitzgerald of Swim Ireland in 3. Daniel Eichel of Israel in 4. Aidan Simmons-Brown of Plymouth Leander in 5, Daniel Krzyzewski of Israel in 6, Adam Strickland of Derwent in 7, Adam Colgan, Swim Island in lane 8.
Full heat of juniors here in heat number 3.
So it's lanes 5 and 6 setting the pace. Aidan and Ruben, 25.15 and 25.30. 25.15 is pretty much the same split as we saw from Solomon in the previous heat. Lane 2 going nicely. Ruben, he is pushing on in the second half. And then a line really to his right-hand side. Who's going to get the touch? I think it might be Ruben. It is Ruben. And he nudges under the 52 as well, so be happy about that. 51.99.
Yep, first swimmer we've seen under 52 seconds. Really
Into
good
52.72. Good progression. Daniel Krzyzewski second, Connor Fitzgerald third. Krzyzewski, nice swim from him as well. Good PB. Heat 4. Michael Klimachevsky, Rory McKinnon, Fraser Agnew, Stefan Kravis, Miles Drabble, Alex Brigazzi, Chris Muir, Alex Painter. High 51s, low 52s, the entry times here. Michael Klimachevsky very fast off the blocks there in lane 1. And also lane 8, Alex Painter. He's pushing it on. Lane 2.
Outside lanes again, isn't it?
So who's going to get the touch here? Is it going to be Rory McKinnon in lane 2? No, it's Alex Painter in lane 8. Rory McKinnon, in fact, only third, 24.63. So that's faster than the previous 2 heats. Lane 1 now, Michael Klimachevsky at lane 8. These outside lanes doing it again.
Lane 8 looks really strong coming into the finish here. See if you can hold on, see what time you can put up here.
Here we go then, into the wall. Oh, so close between the 2 of them. But Klimachevsky takes it from lane 1, from Painter in lane 8. Oof. Outside lanes.
51.4, we'll see how that stacks up as the heats go on, but that's a very, very good swim. 51.4 from Michael. Alex coming there, 51.7. Another 2 swims under that 52-second barrier.
Yeah, really good to see. The swimmers up and ready for this on a Sunday morning.
No time to hang about here in these heats.
Heat 5, Dermot Sutton, Robert Bryce, Ross Leslie, Guillaume Ramia, Jacob Wibley, Charlie Poole, Valdemar Bronze and Tom Truman. All in the 51s for entry times, so 51.45 now the target. Thomas Sutton in lane 1, off to a good start. This is becoming a habit, talking about lane 1 and lane 8.
25.05 there, slightly slower than the previous heat in the opening part of the 100-meter race, but strong start nonetheless.
Beside him, Robert Bryce, 28-year-old from Aberdeen Dolphin. And he's looking good in the second half here. Lane 6 as well, Charlie Poole of Stirling University. This is going to be a tight one at the finish. Is it going to be Bryce? No, it's Sutton. 52.45.
That's back-to-back there, lane 1s, so something in those outside lanes, as we said earlier, 52.45.
So good. Good, strong sprinting here. 52s or 53s in that heat. So still Michael Klimachevsky's 51.45 stands as the fastest time, 4 heats to go. C6, Joel Watson, David Thompson, Evan Bailey, Stefano Mitchell, Calvin Fry, Adam Graham, Martin Valtavi and Michael Ripper.
First entry of 50 point in this heat. Stefano, lane 4, so might start seeing those guys get close to dipping under that 51.
Calvin Fry in lane 5, starting well. Over on the far side, Martin Katavi and Michael Ripper. Also in the frame, number of them actually, lane 2. David Thompson, in fact, he leads the Ulsterman, 24.81. Waterson second, Ripper third. Calvin Fry in the mix as well in lane 5. Lane 7 as well, Stephen Milne. Oh no, he's the next heat, Martin Katavi. So who's going to get the touch here? It's lane 1. 3 in a row.
3 in a row, no pressure next heat, lane 1.
51.60, so we didn't get the sub 51, but good strong swim from Joel there, 51.6. Calvin Fry second, Martin Katavi third.
Moving on to the cycle seeded heats here, so we'll start to see these times come down pretty rapidly. Some very high caliber athletes in these next heats. Matt Richards, obviously Olympic gold medalist from that 4x200 relay in Tokyo. Callum Jarvis as well in lane 6, also part of that 4x200 relay.
Yep, and don't discount Visayas, the Greek, as well in lane 5. So Bruno Kempster, Callum Bain, Jordan Sloan, Matthew Richards, Andreas Visayas, Callum Jarvis, Stephen Milne, William Kearney. Will we go sub 50 here?
I think you got to expect that this morning. They're going to be fighting out for those top 8 spots in the A final, and there's no hanging around looking at the start sheets this morning. So see what they can do. Good start from lane 2.
Callum Bain, another from Northern Ireland. Oh, you can see what he's doing. That was all about the 50 split, 22.71. He's now going to amble his way back. So Richards 24.19, I guess, is the split that counts here. Kempster just behind him, and then Stephen Milne. Looks like Visayas and Richards are going to sort it out between them. Who's going to get a touch? I think it's going to be Visayas. It is 49.92. Well, we did go under the 50, but only one. Andreas Visayas doing exactly that.
Yeah, Matt Richards just over 50, 50.1. Stephen Milne coming in strong there, third, 50.7. So I'm sure he'll be pleased with that this morning. Interesting there, Callum going for a 50 time. Caught us a bit by surprise.
Well, you did wonder when he went out so fast there, and then of course when you saw the way he touched, that it was clear, no tumble turn. It was just stretching for the wall. That was what it was all about for him. So there you go, Visayas, Richards and Milne, the 1, 2, 3 there. And we go to heat 8. Junior from Spain, Ignacio Perez de Tudela goes in 1. Ben Proud in lane 2. Joe Litchfield in 3. Jacob Whittle in 4. Lewis Burris in 5. Jamie Ingram in 6. Henry Baker in 7. Thomas Carswell in 8. Interesting to see what Ben Proud does here, because the 50 specialist, but has been known to go to the hundreds, particularly for relays. But not the fastest start for him by any means.
Yeah, very quick start there from lane 5. Lewis Burrows taken out strong. We saw him last night in the 53 with Ben Proud. They were both 21, so sprint specialist there. But Lewis Burrows really taking this heat by the horns. Moving through very strong, coming through to the final 15 meters. Let's see what time he can put up this morning.
Yeah, this is very fast. Looks like it'll be Whittle in second place, but no catching Burris there. 48.45. Whoa, that is a new meet record there. Fantastic stuff. The Duncan Scott 48.49 meet record has gone by 400ths. Wow.
48.45. That is incredibly impressive swim for the morning. Sets him up very well for tonight's final. Jacob Whittle, yeah, 49.5. Joe Litchfield rounding out the top 3, 50.2. 48.4 for a morning in March.
A morning in March. Fantastic stuff. Congratulations, Lewis. Now, what can this final heat do to respond to that? Jack Grace, David Cumberledge, Ed Mildred. Duncan Scott, Tom Dean, of course they battled in the 200. Tom Dean getting the edge there. Cesar Castroval, Alex Cahoon, Tim Constange.
Not often you get to watch a heat here with Olympic gold and silver medalists in the center lane, so you kind of just got to step back and watch if you're here.
Ed Mildred off to a good start, and so is David Cumberledge, the Edinburgh University swimmer. The two white caps, Scott and Dean, in the middle lanes. Lane 8 again going well. Costange, 24.31, leads by 100th.
Not much to separate them off this first 50, but we'll start to see those middle lanes coming through strong on this final 50 here. 48.4 was quite a marker there for that swim from Lewis Burrows. See what Duncan and Tom and others will be able to put up in this heat.
Yeah, well, it's not going to be as fast as 48.4, I don't think, but it's really tight. Who gets the touch? It is Duncan Scott, 50.23, with Dean just behind him. Oh, I can't wait till the final tonight. It is going to be fantastic. But Lewis Burrows, he has really set his stall out. Hey guys, what are you going to do to match my 48.45? And when we see the summary, you'll see just by how much that stands out compared with everybody else. Look at it, over a second faster than Whittle. Messias under the 50, and then Richards, Scott, Litchfield in the outer lanes. Mildred heading up the B final with Stephen Milne. Alex Cahoon sneaks in there. And just missing out, Ben Proud. Klimachevsky. So tight, isn't it? We're talking, well, in some cases, hundredths, really, between the difference between a second swim and just missing out. And look at that, you swim 32 and still in 52 seconds. Swim 40 and you're still in 52 seconds.
Yeah, 51.1 for top 16s, very high quality swimming for the morning heats, and I think that's what we mentioned before. You couldn't really hang around this morning. You saw the quality of athletes in those races, and no one was hanging about there. Ben Proud, obviously 17th there, just missing out on that B final. I'm not sure if he'll be too upset about that, being a 50 specialist. So, but yeah, set up for an unbelievable final tonight. Lewis Burrows, Duncan Scott, and Tom Dean. I think Duncan and Tom, a bit left in the tank, do you think?
Well, we'll see. As we just see the last few swimmers there on that 100. We go to women's 200 breaststroke next up. Just looking through the remaining program, it's Duncan Scott. Of course, he did that breaststroke earlier, didn't he? But I think that it will be about the 100 free tonight for him. So let's move on. 200 breaststroke, women. 4 swimmers. Fern Crichton of Perth, Erin Taylor of Finns, the Kirkcaldy-based team. Ava Jones, swim Ireland in 5. Charlotte Hardy of Millfield in lane 6.
Yeah, moving on to the 200 breaststroke, slightly slower pace than the intensity of those 100 frees.
Yeah, that was intense, wasn't it? Erin Taylor has swum well this weekend. Butterfly and breaststroke, her main events. Looks like she's going to just get the touch at the 50. 36.6 for her. It's 36.98 for Fern Crichton. Just 100th ahead of Charlotte Hardy. Charlotte down in Millfield now, from started in South Ayrshire.
Yep, 4 junior swimmers in this heat, all entered around 244, 243, 242. A lot of the 200 breaststrokes about distance per stroke, so you see these guys really use the length of the stroke, looking nice and efficient as they go through to the 100-meter mark.
Would I be right in saying that breaststroke perhaps the biggest difference perhaps in stroke technique between the 200s and the sprinters?
Yeah, no, I would say absolutely correct. Yeah, the technique itself is pretty similar. The way they apply the technique's probably slightly different. Much more powerful and much higher rate in the 50 and 100. As you see, the lengths that Adam Peaty's taken that to, and you would look at a 200 breaststroke where it's much more about using the glide, the efficiency, cutting down the resistance as you propel yourself through the water with the kick. I mean, I would describe breaststroke as another sport in itself. It's such a technical stroke, and it's one of those things where if one technicality is slightly out of place, it just throws the whole timing off. So definitely the most challenging stroke for sure.
And probably particularly in the 200, because sometimes I guess just strength and willpower can see you through in the shorter ones, but if you haven't got absolutely spot on technique in the 200, then it's never going to work for you.
Yeah, it's often the case, and it's not exactly how hard you try. Almost the harder you try, sometimes the slower you go. So yeah, it's all about technique, efficiency, and holding that line through the water.
And Erin's doing a good job of that as she comes into the final 5. Another excellent performance from her, comes in 2:42.70, right on her entry time. So another good long course swim from her to get this 200s underway. She's got 5 heats in this. There's the summary of the results. Charlotte Hardy in second, 2:44.88. She's fractionally inside her entry time. Ava Jones and then Fern Crichton. Heat 2. Looks like we've got an empty lane in lane 5.
Yep, that's Leah Schlossen. And also empty lane in lane 7, Katie Rees from City of Cardiff.
Thanks for that. So left with 6 swimmers. Then Rada McGregor of Warrender in lane 1. Kira Aitken of Swim Ireland in 2. Grace Davison of Swim Ireland in 3. Youngster, just 15 this year. Bridget Lemasurier of Edinburgh University in 4. Lucy Buckingham of Putteridge in 6. Lucy Stoves of Dundee City Aquatics in lane 8.
Coming into the first 50 here. Looks like it is lane 8 there, 36.2 from Lucy Stoves. First, closely followed by Bridget there in lane 4, 36.4.
Lucy, 16-year-old. A few problems in Dundee at the moment. The main pool, the Olympia, is long-term closed for repairs, so they're having to scrape around for pool time to do their training. Not the easiest environment for them to settle and prepare for big meets, but Lucy is clearly taking it in her stride. Okay, well, still leads at the 100 on 17.48, slightly faster than the first heat, about 3/10. Grace Davison, Bridget Missouri is second and third.
Not much to separate these guys as we're coming through the 125 meter mark. It was Lucy there in lane 8 taking them out, but it's starting to bunch up as we get through to the 150 meter mark.
Bridget, who's maybe just coming through in lane 4, perhaps a case in point what we talked about earlier, because certainly in her younger career, very much a 50 specialist, can go up to the 100, but now, perhaps as she's older, showing the ability to move on to the 200.
Yeah, and I guess sometimes a change of program as well might steer that in that sort of direction. So, yeah, we'll see how she gets on in this 200. She's obviously moved to Edinburgh University the last couple of years, so maybe that's more of a focus there of the 200 breaststroke.
But Grace Davison, the youngster, at the moment's got the advantage on her. Seems she can hold it down this last length. Also going nicely in lane 6 is Putteridge swimmer Lucy Buckingham. Is Bridget coming through? I think she is, just, but it's going to be on the touch. Ooh, Grace gets it. Just a bit more determined to get to that wall first. 2:41.27. against Bridget's 2:41.36, and then Lucy Buckingham a second or so behind.
All about timing on that last stroke. Just pithing Bridget there to the end there, Grace. 2:41.2, 2:41.3, absolutely nothing separating them. Same with the butterfly, all about judging that the finish and the turns with the stroke. It's much more challenging than the free and the backstroke, where it's a lot more consistent. You might have to judge your way as you're coming through the 5 meters, adjust your strokes to finish on that full stroke.
So heat 3, Emma Doyle, Laura Kinley, Paula Adams, Kayla van der Merwe, Ellie McCartney, Yvonne Brown, Beth Young, Kerry-Ann Harries. 2:28 up to 2:37 range of times here.
First cycle seeded heat there.
Kayla van der Merwe, part of the British Swimming Performance Potential Programme. What's the name for? Ellie McCartney in Lane 5 Swim Ireland, part of their strong programme. Irish short course champion, and she leads 34.53. Yvonne Brown, very strong breaststroker, fly and IMA.
Yeah, Yvonne focused on those medleys, so breaststroke a really important part of that. So racing the tuna breaststroke here.
So at the halfway mark, there is the Irish girl, Ellie McCartney, by just under a second, 1:13.26. And Emma Doyle just behind Yvonne Brown, second Irish swimmer.
You can see the glide at the front of that stroke there from Ellie in lane 5. Really using the propulsion of the kick to create nice lines through the water. But Yvonne starting to pull up on her shoulder.
Yeah, not the biggest swimmers, Yvonne Brown, so I guess for her it really is all about technique, isn't it?
Yeah, technique, efficiency, and also a bit about stroke rate. You know, being able to use that technique, apply a bit of stroke rate on top of the technique, but not at the detriment of the efficiency of the stroke. So looking like a good final 50 coming down here. Ellie still leading them out. Yvonne coming back at her.
Ellie has picked up her stroke rate as well here, but Yvonne is trying to hunt her down. So it's definitely between the two of them. And they'll be wanting to post good times to secure the open final spot. And they're pretty much neck and neck now. 10 meters to go. Who's going to get the touch? It is, as you say, all about spotting this finish. And whoa, again, it looked like Yvonne was going to take it, but Ellie just got in there. The Irish must be working on their finishes. That's 2 in a row.
Yeah, that's a good example of exactly what we just saw in the last heat. Looked like Yvonne was going to take it there, just the last stroke. Ellie just timing that nicely, 2:34.44, and just 4/100ers behind there. Yvonne, 2:34.48.
Fine margins, but so those 2:38s, Kayla and Emma, they're going to be sweating a little bit now to see where that puts them.
Yeah, I would imagine Yvonne and Ellie should be comfortably into that top 8, so we'll see how the next heat goes. Some international contingent here.
Looks like we've got an empty lane in this one as well. I think it's Lara Thompson who's missing, if I'm not mistaken. You can see there, nobody up on the block in lane 6. So it's Evie Float, Caitlin Lansom, Annabelle Guy-Johnson, Laura Rodriguez-Sanchez, Regit Segard, Karen Haysbrook, and Sophie Brassington. So 2 2:34s and then 2:38 in the previous heat. Just remind you of that as we settle down into this 4th heat.
Yeah, Laura Rodriguez Sanchez entering on 2:27.5. See how close she wants to get to that this morning. Some of these swimmers maybe just trying to squeeze their way into the final and save a little bit for tonight. So some tactics might come into play in these heats.
Not too much separating the top three at the 50. Annabelle Guy Johnson just touching first. She's in lane 3 there, but either side of her, we've got Caitlin Lansom in 2, Laura Sanchez in 4. Laura, a couple of Spanish silver medals to her name, short course and in their summer championships. Looks like she's going to have the lead at halfway. Of the other two in 1:13.81, not quite as fast as the previous heat, about half a second down on that. And then 1:14s for Caitlin and Annabelle, and 1:16s for Rigitza and Sophie. So they will need to pick it up in the second half. And certainly it looks like Laura is doing that, opening up the gap to a body length now on Caitlin and Annabelle.
Yeah, it was a strong second 50 and just continuing that on in this third 50, really pushing the pace on a little bit. Yeah. Times there, 1:52.3, 38.5 again. Last two 50s there being 38.5, 38.5.
Yeah, so if you do the maths on that, we're talking about maybe 2:30 low.
It's all about that distribution of pace and having enough for that final 50. You always see the swimmer come through that's paced it to perfection in that last 50 meters, and it looks like she's still got quite a bit left at the end here, so coming back really strong into the wall here. 2:30.5.
2:30.5, so I think she can be very confident of a spot in the open final, laying down the target for the final heat to come. Caitlin Lansom on a 2:35, 2:37 in a third spot for Rigitza and for Annabelle. So those 2:38s from the previous heat looking a bit shaky now. 2:37s might be required for the open final.
Yeah, really impressive splitting there. 1:13.6, 1:16.6 there from Laura.
And these are the swimmers who are going to finish off our 200 breaststroke. Looks like we've got a full lineup in this heat. Michelin Stockbro for Hovedstatens in 1. Also from Hovedstatens is Ophelia Nerdecker in lane 2. Here's Al Ozkan of Mount Kelly in 3. Cara Hanlon of Edinburgh University in 4. Megan Morrison, Loughborough University in 5. Elsa MacDonald of Edinburgh University in 6. And Anna Morgan also from Edinburgh University in 7. Kira Davison, City of Glasgow in lane 8. She'll line up. Saw a very impressive 100 breaststroke win from Cara Hanlon on Friday night. Can she do the 100-200 double? Into 2:26. So second faster than Laura's entry time. So Laura entered 2:27. Did a 2:30. Good start from Megan Morrison in lane 5, beside Cara Hanlon, both in black caps there in the centre lanes. Going to be Megan, who will be touching first at the 50. 35.23. Pretty much the same split as Laura, slightly slower than Ellie McCartney.
Good start from Hazel as well in lane 3, Mount Kelly swimmer.
Yep, so already these three opening up a bit of a gap on the other 5. Anna Morgan perhaps the best of the rest in lane 7. But it's all about sorting out the order of these front 3, I think. All 3 of them, I think, will be hoping to progress to the open final. Is it Cara? No, it's Hazel at the halfway mark by 200ths. 1:14.75. Both pacing 39.2s there. Megan 40.0.
Yeah, 114.7s there. Probably looking at a reasonably even split here if they're looking at sort of 232s, maybe 231s. See how fast they want to push it on this morning. I mean, it's all about qualification for the final.
They also want to get into the habit of swimming fast in morning heats, though, because, you know, for example, when they go down to Sheffield, if they want to make the championship final there, they're going to have to swim fast in the heats. You can't slack around.
Yeah, yeah, no, and it's a skill to be able to swim fast in the morning as well. And if you're going to those international meets, after those trials qualification competitions like Commonwealth Games, World Championships, you're going to have to be going all out in the heats. So sometimes it might require a best time in the morning. So if we're always kind of looking at, you know, maybe just trying to qualify for the final, it might not be preparing us as well as possible. So yeah, absolutely, some of these swimmers will be trying to practice those preparations for those trials competitions and swimming fast in the morning heats as well as the finals.
Hazel Oskan is doing exactly that. She's doing this last 50 pretty hard here, and she's going to take the win. Nice swim, 2:34 dead. And Cara Hanlon, 2:35.20. So they'll both be okay. I think Megan Morrison will as well. Anna Morgan, 2:37.25, maybe.
Yeah, we've seen a few 2:37s, so it'll be tight there. We'll have to wait for the summary to come up on the screen.
Yeah, we're about to find out. That's the line or the result for that heat. Hazel, Cara, Megan, Anna, and here is the top 8. Oh, and Anna didn't make it. Brigitte Cigar, 2:37.10 was what was required for 8th spot. Annabelle Guy-Johnson, Anna Morgan, 2 Edinburgh University swimmers, both on the same time. So it'll be interesting. Are we going to have a swim off for first reserve, do you think? 2:37.25, an Edinburgh Derby?
Not sure about that. I'm not sure they want to do 3 200s breaststroke in a day, but you never know. If somebody pulls out of that A final, well, we might have to see one, because unless they settle it themselves.
Yeah, that's an interesting one.
Do you have a 50 breaststroke swim off coming up at the end of the session, don't we?
I think we do, yes. I don't have any more details about that yet, but I'm told that there is. But before that, we've got a little matter of men's 400 freestyle. That's what's coming up next. And we're going to have 6 heats in this one. The line up for the first of those 6 heats. Dylan Blakely, return to the pool for him, the S14 swimmer from East Lothian. Ollie Carter swimming S10, Stirling University. We've got Elliot Sibley, Nova Centurion. Dennis O'Brien of Swim Ireland, both able-bodied swimmers, and then 2 more para swimmers. We've got Michael Jones, and we've got Sam Downey. So they are going in lane 6 and 7. Sam Downey S8, Michael Jones S7.
Yeah, quite a range of entry times here from 4:08 to 5 minutes, so there'll be a bit of separation in this heat, but again, everyone's sticking to their own race tactics, their own race plan. Strategy is so important in the 400 free, as I'm sure we'll see. There'll be people that really focus on that back end of the race and probably come through strong at the end, whereas other people may focus a bit more on that front end and try and hang on as best as possible as the race comes to its close.
So Dennis from Elliot, 58.75, 58.99. Ollie Carter leading the para swimmers, 103. Ollie and Sam Downey selected it in for the Para World Championships after that Aberdeen meet that you were talking about, Scott. I'm not sure about Mikey Jones. I can't remember whether he's in as well.
Yeah, no, good to see these guys racing the 400 free this morning. It's always an interesting one, the 400 free. You get some of the swimmers coming up from the 200, maybe even the 100 as well, but then you also get the guys that are maybe more distance orientated in the 800 and the 1500 coming down to the 400, so you do see a lot of that in the 400 free.
It's the Nova swimmer. Elliot Sibley at the halfway point. Goes through in 2:02.94. So around about 32s for him. So pacing faster than the others, 33.0 and 33.8 for Dennis and Ollie.
Yeah, out in 2:02 there. It'll be interesting to see how he decides to split this, or how he. I mean, and maybe how he executes it's maybe not going to be the same as how he would like to, but you're always trying to strive for that. So 2:02 on the way out. See how close you can get to that on the way back. It's always interesting, the tactics in the 400 free. It's a challenging race for sure.
A pretty steady pacing from Elliot Sibley so far, being in the low 32s. See if he can do that again here. Going through in 3:07.30. Yep, 32:09. So all good so far. Can he do a 62 and change to hit the 4:10? We saw a 32 maybe on this one, and then a 30 point after that. That's not unreasonable to ask, is it?
No, I'm sure that's probably what he's looking for. Yeah, you've always. I mean, if you get the pacing correct, you may well have enough energy for the final sprint. But in the same sense, I've been there many times myself when I've not paced it correctly, and the last 50 is definitely not the fastest 50. So, always a balance between tactics and pacing.
Yeah, and I guess you could practice it hard in training, but it's just not the same as doing it in a competition, is it?
Yeah, and sometimes you might end up going out a little bit faster than you thought, and just the small margins on the front end can really make a big difference on the back end.
So let's see, it's just going to be over the 4:10. They got it down to a 31 in the end, so 4:11.15. Should be pretty satisfied with that. Good, steady, strong swim from Elliot. Dennis for 14:09 to second place, and here comes Ollie for third, 4:29. So very much a workout for him, I think, after Aberdeen will have been his focus for the early part of the season. Dylan Blakely in lane 2.
In lane number 2, so the 2 GB debutants this summer will be going to Madeira for the World Championships.
4:56 for him.
Former Paralympic champion in Rio.
Michael Jones, 5:04.
The 3 para swimmers are the final ones into the ball behind the 2 juniors.
So in fact, Sam Downey didn't start there. Completely missed that. So there's your final result. Sibley, O'Brien, Carter, the 1, 2, 3. On to heat 2. Line up for heat 2. We've got Luke Hornsey of East Lothian in 1, Tony Joe Trent Oliver of Stirling University in 2, Caden McCarthy of Swim Ireland in 3, Liam McLaughlin, Edinburgh University in 4, Joshua Weston of Swim England in 5, 2 more from Stirling University, Jack Monsey in 6, Alex Sargent in 7, and Alex Cooper of Swim England in lane 8.
No swimmer in lane 7 there. Alex Sargent not here, so empty lane there.
Thank you. So 4:04 to 4:08 range of entry times here.
Pretty close start across the board. Not much separating these swimmers. Early days in the 400 free.
So we're talking obviously swimmers unrested here. What are you looking for when you're going into a meet like this? You're probably, as a performance swimmer, you're not looking for a PB particularly. Is it about demonstrating the technique and the race skills, or do you worry about the time?
I think if you're looking at racing in season, there's a couple of things. Technique and skills under pressure, trying to transfer the skills and the technique that you've been working on in training into the competition arena, which is a totally different task than just working on things in training. There's also the sense that you've probably got a race distribution in terms of percentage that you're trying to look for as your splits across the race. So maybe the end time may not be as fast as you would like, but the way that you've distributed the splits and the pacing across the race will be a similar sort of structure to the one that you're trying to implement in the trial selection meet in April. So I think it's practicing those pacing strategies and really ingraining that, so when you do come to those key meets that you know, it almost becomes automatic because you've practiced that in competition. So I think it's not about going as fast as you can, it's about applying the technique, the skills under pressure, and really working on that pacing, the strategy, and the distribution of your splits across, especially a 400-meter event.
But it's got to be fast enough, I would think, so that you are putting yourself under pressure and being able to execute that strategy when you are tired in this latter part of the race and still be able to do what you set out to do.
Yeah, I think you're always trying to go as fast as possible. So it is. It's not all about time, but there is that element of, you want to see where you're at, and it's not entirely about skills and distribution of pace. It is a little bit about how fast you go, just to see where you're at, and maybe it'll give you a bit of boost of confidence. But not many people see what you did in March, so it's all about kind of what you did in April, those trials meets, and then leading into the summer. So I think all these meets are just preparation. Everyone's going to be trying to swim as fast as possible, but the outcome isn't necessarily the most important factor in that.
But Jack Munsey taking it out very nicely in lane 6. 30.9 split against Joshua Weston's 31.6. So he is pushing it on well. Very much 400 freestyle, probably his main event. So this will be an important race for him here. Looking to make an impact in the Scottish ranks.
Yeah, I think we need an up-and-coming 400 swimmer. We've still got Stephen Milne for that 400 free, but definitely been stronger in the past. I remember looking back at 2014 Commonwealth Games. I remember that heat of Stephen Milne, Dan Wallace and Robbie Rennick all going 1, 2, 3 in Glasgow there, 346 and 347. So we do need to be looking towards the future in that 400 and above events, particularly in Scotland. So yeah, maybe Jack Munsey can fill that gap.
Yeah, but then we have the likes of David Carey as well, another starting life in Aberdeen. So 3:33, pacing 31, so level pacing would be a 4:04. Entered 4:05.8, so said it was not about times, but Jack Munsey's going to post a good one here. See how much closer he can get down towards the 4 minutes. Pushing on Caden McCarthy in lane 3, and then Tony Joe Trett Oliver's had a pretty handy meet going in lane 2. But Jack Munsey at 4:03.66, so I think he'll be pretty happy with the way he swam that and with the time that he got at the end. Caden McCarthy pretty much on his entry time, 4:05.78. Good strong final 50 from him.
That was a really solid swim there from Jack. I'm sure he'll be pleased with that. Under his entry time there of 4:05, I think it was. So 4:03 there, really good and looking promising as he heads towards that key meet in April. I'm sure he'll be having his eyes on that sub 4 minute barrier.
On to heat 3. Cameron Travis, Aberdeen Performance in 1. Angus Allison, Stirling University in 2. Lane 3, Joseph Kingsland. Major Goralnik in lane 4. Then we've got an empty lane in 5. Charlie Poole, Stirling University in 6. Elijah Kendrick of Plymouth Leander in 7. And Martin McInnes of City of Glasgow in lane 8. Major Goralnik, the fastest entry time here, 4:02 for the Israeli.
No swimmer there in lane 5. Jacob not competing in this 400.
So that's Major, and then not a lot to choose between Elijah and Cameron, lane 7 and lane 1.
Yeah, lane 4 taking it out reasonably strong here. The Israeli swimmer.
So another junior, 3 juniors in this heat. Cameron Travis, Mayo Goralnik and Elijah Kendrick. 57.37 is about 8/9 faster than Jack Munce's split. And about 8/10 faster than Elijah Kendrick. Lovely shot there down the pool. See there the branding between the competition pool and there's a 6x25 pool, mainly used as the diving pool here in Edinburgh. Some big diving competitions are held here, but this weekend being used as a 6x25 swim down and warm up pool.
Starting to see that diamond formation in their seat here.
You had to wait a while to get that.
Yeah, we did have to wait a while, but I'm sure it'll disappear now that I've said it. But it is there, so when it's there, we'll mention it. Coming up into the halfway here, it's a really strong start here. 158.7 there from Mayo.
So just pacing of just under the 31s there. Again, you see faster than anybody else. Everybody else in 31s, 32s. Lane 6 is Charlie Poole. He's got second on his own now, ahead of Joseph Kingsland in lane 3.
It's the all-important third 100 here. Really important just to stay on the pace, even push it on a little bit if you can. Set yourself up well for that last 100. Sometimes a tendency to drop back on the third 100 after the first 200, but not from lane 4 here in Mayo. He's really pushing this on. 229.3, so still under that 30-second average across this race, so we'll be trying to get as close as possible to that 4-minute barrier.
So we'll get a sense of that at this next split, just how close he can get to it. It's going to be around the 3 minutes, just over 3:00.72. 31.3 split there.
Charlie Poole second there, 3:04.9. Joseph 3:06.2. Good battle there for second place in this heat.
Yeah, Poole in the white cap there, lane 6. So it's got a reasonable margin to protect from Joseph Kingsland. No doubt who's going to take the win, though. Coming up to the final turn, it's Goralnik all the way. 3:32 dead.
Yeah, 3:32.0. Let's see what he can come back in here. Started off strong and he's really just pulled away each length, so really impressive swim here.
So Jack Muncey was a 4:03.66. This, I think, will be faster. Look at that lineup now for second. There's 4 of them, with Cameron Travis coming up strongly in lane 1. But Goralnik, hats off to him, 4:02.04, finishing on a 30 point. Tight for second in the end, but it's that pink cap of Angus Allison, mainly known as an IMer, but showing good 400 skills there. Big, what, look at that, 29.6. His final 50.
Yeah, good finish from Cam Travis there as well, coming in third place, 4:08.9. It's not the first time we've seen Angus Allison finishing a race strong there, Duncan.
Yep. So 4:02.04 confirmed the winning time there for the big cap of the 4:08s there. Angus and Cameron. 3 heats still in this one. Just 2 get cycle seeded in the 400, so this one, range of times 4:00 to 4:02. Just looking down the line, we are seeing more empty lanes today as the aches and pains start to take their toll. Again, it's lane 5 that's missing here. So the lineup, Jude Lydiard of Edinburgh University in lane 1, then 2 Danes from Hovedstatens, Valdemar Bronze in 2, and Gabriel El Medib in 3. Rhys Grady is from England in 4. Adam Hall of Loughborough University in 6. Michael Flynn, City of Glasgow in 7. And Yoav Romano of Israel in 8. So lane 4, Reese Grady. Lane 6, Adam Hall. Lane 8, Yoav Romano, who's been strong in the distance events this weekend. So 3 juniors, lanes 3, 4, and 8. And 2 of them in the mix here, with Romano leading the way.
Yeah, it's that top half of the pool where the race has been taken out here. Is that lane 8 again? Lane 8 pushing on the outside again. It's a 400, so a lot can change as we progress through the race. Taking it out strong, but both these guys looking well in control of their strokes. Lane 4 looking very smooth as he comes up to the 150 meter mark. Lane 8 will be turning first though.
Yep, 127.59, up by about 6/10. And pacing about half a second faster on that last 15. So most of that gain of 6/10 came in that length. Again, it's 2 well clear of a trio of swimmers behind. Yoav continuing to build his lead, another half second picked up on Reese there. 157.75.
Yeah, 157.75. Last 2 50s, 30.0, 30.1. So if we can keep this up, we may well see our first sub 4 minutes here. It'd be definitely be close if he's paced this well. Looking like he's pushing on, extending his lead here on this 250 meter length. 30.00 there, Yoav turning to 27.7. Stretching away from the field. It's lane 4 there, Reese turning in second.
Yeah, this is really good stuff. And the Israeli team will be pretty excited with the talent they got on their hands here. Talking to the Israeli coach, they're saying most of their elite swimmers go over to the US and join the collegiate system there. It's mainly the juniors that they've got training out of Israel. But Yoav certainly a bright prospect. That time just slipping back there, 30.7, so maybe starting to feel it now. We'll see whether he can drive himself on. Talking about that, holding their pace in the latter stages of the 400. So we're looking for something towards the 30 seconds here. Are we going to get it?
Still looks strong coming into this last 50 meters. 329.0, so 30 points to finish off here. 30.5 on that 50, so we could well be here looking at a sub 4 minute swim from lane 8, which would be a brilliant swim.
Yeah, he is looking so strong here. No doubt who's going to get second, Reese Grady, and it's looking good for Gabriel Almedib to take third. But look at that swim from the top of the pool. Here he comes. Watch the clock. Yes, no problem at all. 3:58.96. Very nicely done, Yoav. Into 4:02.
Yeah, very good. The first sub 4 minutes we've seen. Reese Grady coming in there, 4:03.8. Good race for third as well. Gabriel taking that one, 4:09.2.
So
that was impressive.
That just sets a little marker. All these final 2 heats have sub 4 minute entry times, but my guess is they won't all swim under the 4 minutes. So I would have thought Yoav has every chance of doing better than the junior final.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we'll see the last 2 heats coming up. Pretty stacked field. A lot of really solid 400 meter swimmers here. People that have been on the international scene. Kieran Bird, lane 4 here. Made the Olympics in Tokyo for the 400 free.
There is your lineup. Jeremy Bagshaw of Limerick in 1. Daniel Whiffen, Swim Ireland in 2. Toby Robinson, Loughborough University in 3. Kieran Bird, Bath National Centre in 4. Will Bell, Loughborough University in 5. Finn McGeever of Swim Ireland in 6. Then 2 England swimmers, Thomas Treblecock in 7. Pierce Greening in lane 8.
Very much an English-Irish battle here we've got in our hands in this heat.
Where are the Scots?
Yeah, where are the Scots? Three Irish, 5 English. Out of training, anyway.
Kieran Bird taking it out fast, half a second up after 50. Kieran, winner in Swim England Winter Championships short course, part of the British team at both the Olympics and the European Championships after winning the British trials last spring.
I think that was one of the swims of the meet for me at British trials. Just the elation that he showed at the end of that 400 race and come back so strong to just dip under that qualifying time was really, really good to see.
So he'll be looking to have a strong trials again in a few weeks' time. So important to get the right prep in here.
Yeah, it's all about swimming the right swim in the right pool at the right time of the year. Not an easy task, so we'll see how these guys are getting on this morning in the 400 free. Not much to separate the rest of the field behind Kieran. He is taking this one out. Daniel Whiffen, Jeremy Bagshaw closely following.
Daniel Whiffen is definitely one to watch. He is a swimmer who has improved by leaps and bounds in the last year or so. 21-year-old Irishman training out of Loughborough.
Yeah, they've got a really good distance set up down there in Loughborough. Quite a few good athletes targeting those 800s and 1500s. So all important training partners really pushing each other on. And Daniel, yeah, he's really taken big strides onto the international scene in the last year or two.
Beside him in lane one, more of a veteran Irishman, the 30-year-old from Limerick, Jeremy Bagshaw, but he's going pretty well.
Yeah, he's actually Canadian. He's just come over to Limerick from Canada, I was told, to study medicine or to become a doctor. So he's a busy man, but yeah, now training out of National Centre of Limerick, a Canadian.
So 3 in a line there behind Kieran Bird. Should come up towards the 300. So Yoav's split was 2:58 at the 300. So these 3, 4 of them are faster, but Will Bell not.
Yeah, it's a competitive heat, this one. I'm sure they would have saw that time set by Yoav in the last heat, that 3:58.9. So these swimmers should be under that if they want to make their way into that A final this evening. Jeremy Bagshaw just making a move here with 50 to go.
Yep, and he's taken the lead now. So 50 meters to go, 29.29 there. Toby 30.0, Kieran 30.5. So Toby Robinson also moving up nicely now. But this is Jeremy Bagshaw is pushing on very well. Show him what he can do. So we saw lane 8 in the last heat. Now it's lane 1 in this one. So Jeremy taking it 3:56.02. So again, inside his entry time. Kieran Bird just behind him, 3:56.61. And Toby Robinson, 100th behind that, 3:56.62. Swim for 4 minutes and you're separated by 100th. Daniel Whiffen, Will Bell under the 4 minutes. So
yeah, 5 under that time set in the last heat. So at 3:58, it's borderline for the top 8. We'll see how this next heat, it's a pretty stacked heat coming up as well. So quite a few of those guys dipping under that 4 minutes.
Yeah, so 4th place there, 3:57 mid. So I think if the swimmers can be in the top 4 and under that in this heat, then they're into the open final. Full line up here. Hector Pardo of Loughborough University in 1, Stephen Milne, Stirling University in 2, Jacob Goodman of Loughborough University in 3, Felix Obeck of Loughborough University in 4, Luke Turley of Bath National Centre in 5, Carlos Benito of Spain in 6, William Riley of University of Bath in 7, Andrew Bertoli of Elsewhere College in lane 8. Benito in lane 6, winner in the 8 and the 15, just 18 years old this year. So he's an exciting Spanish talent.
Yeah, and Felix Obak there in lane 4. He was 4th at the Olympic Games in Tokyo. Also winner of the World Short Course title in that 400 free at the end of last year. So really strong pedigree in that 400 free, both in the long course and short course pool.
So loads and loads of talent here.
Got our own Scottish talent there in lane 2, Stephen Milne.
And Hector Pardo leading the way. So we'll look for a swimmer entered on a 3:56.
More of an open water specialist, Hector Pardo. He was in Tokyo for the open water event. He swam up to about the 25k, so the 400 meter very much a sprint. Sure, it seems a lot shorter to him than many of the other guys in this race. But yeah, he's taken out strong for his Hector.
You seem to be increasingly getting swimmers who can do pool and open water swimming now. I mean, obviously think of Poltrineri, of course, but there's others as well now who are very much showing the ability to do that on the world stage, and that might be something that Britain would like to aspire to.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of transfers, isn't there? Some of these guys training a lot, and they train enough to be able to compete in those open water events, but just two totally different scenarios, isn't it? So much more controlled in the pool, whereas the open water is a bit more rough, a lot more to contend with. You've got the conditions and the weather, so yeah, you've seen a few over the years dip into the open water as well.
Not to mention other swimmers getting in your way, and a few
a few closed fists in those races, aren't there?
A few shenanigans from time to time. I think that's the polite way of saying. So Felix Obek, we talked about him earlier, coming through. He's showing his class now. And I guess on paper the clear favourite for this event, the Austrian.
Yeah, he's just starting to move up there, taking the lead at 300. Really stamping his authority on this race. Turn there, 256.3. Jacob Goodman, 257.8, 258.2 there for Luke Turley. So it's going to be tight for these guys getting into that top 8. We were talking about 357s around about 4th, so looks like it might take a 357 to make that top 8.
Yeah, these swimmers, 4 behind Felix. There's going to be a race on, you would think, here, because you don't want to be 5th in this race.
No, yeah, definitely. There's Stephen Milne and our Spanish swimmer, Carlos, 4th and 5th. So it's really going to come down to this last 50. Good race coming on for 2nd, but Felix pulling away.
Interesting to see Stephen Milne coming up now and just trying to book his place in this dogfight that's going on for 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th behind Felix Obek, but Felix Obek comfortably in here, almost easing back in that last race, but Stephen was definitely not easing back. He was full belt there down that last 50. Look at that, 27.69, his final 50 split. So that just was good enough to get him into 2nd spot, so he'll be safely in the final. Carlos Benito, who, as I said, won the 8 and the 15, he'll be there. It's going to be a tasty one, isn't it? Felix Obek, you have to say, is the hot favourite, but, well, anybody could get the positions behind him.
Yeah, definitely. We'll have to wait for that summary just to see who is in that top 8, because that was tight. Those 356s should be okay. It's the last couple of places that really was close there.
Because we had Bagshaw 356.0 in the previous heat, so he'll certainly be there.
Yeah, it's Jacob Goodman there on 358.0. It's going to be tight.
Oh, they're keeping us waiting. What are we going to see? They haven't scrolled the board here for the finish order in the pool, so I don't know whether there's some queries going on as officials moving purposely around the pool, I can see, so we are just being kept hanging here before we know for sure.
Unusual for a 400 to be taking a bit of time. It's not usually anything that can go too far wrong in a 400, but sometimes we do get a few technical issues with the board.
Yeah, probably the most common issue would be an issue perhaps with the timing pads and a time not coming through correctly, but Well, there we got it. Obeck, Milne, and Benito, the 1, 2, 3, and then Turley 356 as well. As you said, Scott, 357.11 for Goodman. Let's see whether that gets him in. Oh, it does, just in 8th spot. So there are your top 8. Obeck, Bagshaw, Milne, Benito, Bird, Robinson, Turley, and Goodman. Oh, and Daniel Whiffen just missing out.
Yeah, that was with the delay. Jacob Goodman's time came up as a 358.0, so that's been changed to 357.1, and that's just snuck him into the final ahead of Daniel Whiffen. So technical experts sorting Jacob Goodman out there for that final.
So what they do, because they have those backup buttons, and if there's a big disparity between those times, then they have to do an investigation as to which one is the true time. So Jacob Goodman benefiting from that and the diligence of our officials. And Daniel Whiffen will be heading for lane 4 in the B final. So that was good stuff. Some excellent swims in that 400 free. Now we move back to 100 free. So double dose of 100 freestyle. What's not to like here?
Yeah, we saw the men. The men were very impressive. So we'll see what the women can do this morning.
There's your lineup for the first of 7 heats. 6 swimmers all are there. Tony Shaw, Stirling University. S9 para swimmer. Laura Dickinson of Mount Kelly. Kirsten Powell of Millfield. Elise Cousins of Perth City. Ava Jones of Swim Ireland. And Abby Kane, S13 para swimmer from Stirling University.
Good start there from the centre lane. 4 and 5, not much to separate them here.
It's a nice pool level shot for you. Just seeing the effort that they're putting into this. And it's Kirsten Powell narrowly from Ava Jones and Elise Cousins, 28.84 at the halfway mark. As they swim away from the camera, and now we get the high view, and you can see that Kirsten Powell in the green of Millfield, just with her nose in front, but coming at her now in lane 3 is Laura Dickinson of Mount Kelly. So Millfield versus Mount Kelly. There's been a fair number of battles between those two teams. Mount Kelly, oh no, the Millfield swimmer I should say, Kirsten Powell, takes the honours there, 1:00.23. I think that'll probably be the last heat we see one in anything over a minute. I'm very surprised we don't get under the minute from here on in.
Yeah, we'll start to see those times coming down as we progress through the heats. Just waiting on that summary coming up on the board here.
Tony Shaw, another one of the swimmers who is on her way to the World Championships this year.
So Tony Shaw, one of the strongest para swimmers there, 1:03.71 for her. So that's pretty much on her entry time. Abby Kane, 1:07.98, a little bit off her time. Of course, she had a brilliant performance early in her career. And has just struggled probably to maintain those heights since then.
Yeah, Tony will be looking forward to the World Championships later on in the year.
This was a para-Olympic medalist in the summer. But on to heat 2. Looking down the pool, no swimmer in lane 6. So line up here, Molly McAlorum in 1 for Swim Ireland, Maisie Elliott of Loughborough University in 2, Jana Spinner of Hatfield in 3, then 2 Israelis, Sharon Gulland in 4, Sharon Stamen in 5, and another one, Haida Karp in lane 7, and Anna Green going for Warrender in lane 8.
Yeah, all these girls entered under the minute. Only one in 59s, the rest in 58. So should be seeing a lot of these girls sneak under that minute. See how close they can get to their entry times. Strong swimming here from lane 4. Quite tight across the board though.
Yep, the Israelis right in the mix here, along with Jana Spinner in lane 3 from Hatfield. At lanes 4 and 7, Shane and Haydar. And it's Shane that gets the touch. Molly McAlorum, good swim from her as well. So the win going to Shane Gullen. 58.59 for her. So 6 swimmers under the minute there. On to heat number 3. Couple of empty lanes here. No lane 3. No lane 6. So 6 swimmers go. Lauren Lungu of Israel in 1. Holly Widows of Mount Kelly in 2. Georgina Dennis, Loughborough University in 4. Carla Caron Amuña of Spain in 5. May Bradburn from England in 7. And Coco Furman, Hovid Statens in lane 8. So 57s to low 58s, the entry times here.
Yeah, good start in lane 2, 16-year-old Mount Kelly swimmer, 27.8. That's a good first 50 from Holly.
She's had a good meet. Holly Widow's been mentioning her in dispatches quite a few times. Around about 3-4 tenths faster than the previous heat. Georgina Dennis in 4 and May Bradburn in lane 7 are the main challengers, but Holly in lane 2 looks to be the one who's going to take it, and she does. 57.81, 800ths inside her entry time. So May Bradburn, I think, second there. Yep, that's confirmed, but just by 200ths from Georgina Dennis. 58.3 and 58.32 respectively. So more in the 57 territory in this next heat.
Yeah, looks like lane 5, Yaz Perry won't be swimming in this one.
Lucy Grieve, the fly specialist, goes in lane 4 for South Ayrshire. The lineup: Alba Herrera Lazaro of Spain in 1, Ellie McKibben, Swim Ireland in 2, B. Varley of Swim England in 3, then it's Lucy Grieve of South Ayrshire in 4, Ellie Walker of Loughborough University in 6, Monique Olivier, the Luxembourg swimmer based in Edinburgh University, is in 7, and Drew Mackenzie of City of Glasgow in lane 8.
These girls entered on 57.7 down to 57.4, so not much separating them across the board, and that's showing here on the first 50. Is it lane 2? Yep, lane 2, Ellie turning 27.91, so similar to what we saw in the last heat. Lucy Grieve, you mentioned the fly specialist there, 28.2.
So Ellie McKibben in the green of Ireland. Certainly looking the favourite at this stage. Monique Olivier up there, probably more known as a 2 and a 400 swimmer. Getting some good speed skills in here. Alba Herrera Lazaro looking good in lane 1. Oh, look at them all in a line. It's Monique in lane 7, just edging it. Exactly the same time as in the previous heat, 57.81. Oh, swim off, maybe.
We love a swim off.
Don't suppose Monique would welcome that.
Probably not, but you know, she came back strong there to finish off there, 57.81. Definitely the fastest swimmer there in that last 50. It's all about pacing on the 100 free. You want to be out fast, not too hard though. You need enough in the reserves for the second 50.
So Lucy Grieve second by 100th from B. Varley. 58.14, 58.15. On to cycle seeded heats now. And this should be a fair bit faster. And they're all here. Mia Slevin of Daventio in 1, Harriet Rogers, Borough of Stockton in 2, Tamrin Van Selm of Millfield in 3, then 2 Sterling swimmers, Lucy Hope in 4, Emma Russell in 5, Milou van Wijk of the Netherlands in 6, and Femke Hoppenbrover, also from the Netherlands in 7, and Kira Morris, City of Cardiff in lane 8.
Yeah, big step up in speed from this heat compared to the last one. Lucy Hope taken out here in the first 50, very much known as a 100 freestyle swimmer. She's taken out strong there, 26.88, so that's considerably quicker than what we've seen in the other heats. Harriet Rogers not far behind there in 27.0. These girls fighting out for spots in those A and B finals, so need to be on it this morning. We saw that in the men's 100 free, it was very fast.
Yeah, Lucy Hope looking good for this one. And it's about who's going to get the places behind her and the relative times compared with the two heats to come. So Lucy sets the standard at 55.57. Emma Russell just edging second there, 56.46. And Harriet Rogers behind her, 56.70, just 300ths ahead of Milu, and then another 400ths to Femke. So that's 56 is dangerous territory.
Yeah, it's going to be a battle. You're sort of looking at 55 high. You're probably going to be sneaking your way in, but 56 mids to lows. We'll see over those next couple of heats.
There's some real class in this one. So two Edinburgh University swimmers, the two Katies, Goodburn and Robertson in lanes 1 and 2. Daria Golovati of Israel in 3. Then we got Freya Anderson of Bath in 4. Amy Canny, who's having some meet, goes for Plymouth Leander in 5. Tame Bruce, another Edinburgh University swimmer, in 6. Hindwa Amashkua of Spain in 7. Elena Morgan, Stirling University in 8. So Freya Anderson, you would think would be the fancied one here, but let's see what Amy Canny can do, because she has been hot this weekend.
Yeah, Freya very much the class of this field, taken out, and we know she's particularly strong on the back end of the race, 26.6 there. Amy Canny and Tame Bruce pretty strong in the first 50 as well. It is Freya Anderson pulling away.
Great turn skill from Freya there. Seemed to have pretty much double her lead through that turn.
Yeah, such an important skill on the 100 as well. How can you maintain that speed in and out of the wall and really utilize that underwater section? She's coming in here strong, head down into the finish.
She's going to be faster than Lucy, 55.13. So that is now the fastest time, 55.82 for Amy Canny. Surely that will be okay for a place in the open final. Third place, Tame Bruce, 56.27. I think that might be good enough. We'll wait and see. Daria Golovati into the 57s. Junior though, so she was certainly going to get a second swim, probably in the B final.
Yeah, Tame Bruce was third there, 56.2. I think that's kind of what we're looking at as 56 lows, maybe rounding out that top 8. So nervous wait for those swimmers.
So this one is tasty with the swimmers in the centre lane. So we've got Georgina Pryor Daventio in 1, Erin Little Swim England in 2, Victoria Catherson Swim Ireland in 3, Anna Hopkin Loughborough National Centre in 4, Louise Hansen Loughborough University in 5, Freya Colbert of Nova Centurion in 6, Silke Hoosman of the Netherlands in 7, and Lucy Fox of Swim England in lane 8. So Hopkin and Hansen in the centre lanes will be doing battle here.
Yeah, two totally different styles for this 100 free. Anna Hopkin very much straight arm. We've seen that over the last few years. Louise Hansen, much more traditional stroke, but both so effective. Anna Hopkin 26.3 on the way out, 26.8 for Hansen, not far behind.
Hansen probably maybe more of fly and maybe slightly longer distance free, but Hopkin very much 50 and 100 free, and is the British record holder in this event. 52.75 that she set in the Olympics. She was the finalist.
She's shown her quality here, head down into the finish. Really solid morning swim, 54.73 there for Anna Hopkin. 56.0, Louise Hansen came in there. And Victoria Catson running out the top 3, 56.4. Gonna have to see about that 56.4 for Victoria. I think it's 56 lows we were talking about, so we'll wait for the summary.
So Hopkin and Hansen, I think, will definitely be there. Anna Hopkin will have lane 4. Catterson, well, slower than Tame Bruce in the previous, who's third in the previous one. So let's see. Oh, she sneaks in 7th equal spot.
Nearly got our swim off there, Duncan.
Yeah, so close.
It was 56.7 in that B final there, down to 57.5 Freya Colbert, rounding out that B final.
There were the tide swimmers. Holly Widow's Monique. So tied for second reserve. Can we get a swim off for second reserve? Probably not.
There's always a chance, isn't there? But I guess, yeah.
Unless there's withdrawals, of course, and that could then complicate things.
Yeah, and we've got the afternoon heats as well, so always keep an eye out for them. It's never done until the afternoon heats are over. It's obviously unlikely, but it's always happened. It's happened in the past, so swimmers sneak their way into those finals, particularly the junior swimmers. There's a lot of junior swimmers to come this afternoon in these events.
Yeah, and maybe there's an outside smoker like we saw with Tom Dean in the 50 freestyle yesterday. But yeah, we'll wait and see. But the 100 butterfly is next for the men, so more fast and furious swimming to come here. We've got 8 heats for you in this one. And there's the lineup for the first of them. Return to the pool for the 2 para swimmers, Louis Lawler in 2 and Jack Milne in 7. Gabriel Almeldia, but I'm sure I just talked about him a few minutes ago swimming, so he is very quickly back into the pool, the Herbert Statten swimmer.
Yeah, quite a few of these swimmers backing up this morning, so multiple races. Louis Lawler as well, and Jacob Whibley with Jack Milne. Yeah, we've seen a lot of these swimmers in previous races, so they're coming back in for this 100 fly.
I guess you're going to have a lot of people who double up the 100 free and the 100 fly, and because they're both in the same session at this meet.
Yeah, it's an interesting schedule. 100 free and 400 free, there's a lot of clashes there, so people are trying to pick their schedules and pick the best events for them, but yeah, a lot of swimmers backing up. You'd expect that. Most people trying to make the most of the racing opportunity, doing multiple events in each session. Really good swim here from lane 4, though. Took it out.
Yeah, it's going very nicely here. Harley James, City of Cardiff swimmer, entered on a 58, so he's got a chance to be there or thereabouts. Although coming at him now in lane 6 is Thomas Maskell, and it is Maskell who just sneaks it in the end. Very fast coming down under the flags and to the wall, taking the win there.
I've seen so many tight finishes on those flying breaststrokes. Who can time that last stroke so they hit the wall on a full stroke, not gliding in? I've seen that over the years. Pretty famous fly finishes over the years at the Olympic Games, isn't there?
So which is the hardest one to spot your finish really accurately? Which stroke?
I would probably say fly, because you're kind of torn between putting your head down in the finish, but still trying to spot the wall, so you've got to gauge that. Breaststroke, you are breathing every stroke, so you can kind of get that bit of feedback, you know. But fly, you're still looking to put your head down into the finish, so put your head down, you're still going to have an idea of how many strokes you are coming into the wall, but that's with practice, training. These guys practice that every day, so yeah, they'll be pretty nailed on those skills, but it always comes down to what you do in the race.
So the lineup in Heat 2, Sebastian Greason of Hobart Stattens, Ricardo Lucarelli of Mount Kelly, Tom Robertson of Aberdeen Dolphin, Stefan Kravis of East Lothian, Solomon Williams of Millfield, Ignacio Perez Dutudela of Spain, Matthew Ward of Mount Kelly, and Rory McKinnon, City of Glasgow. Solomon Williams has had some good swims this weekend, and he's leading just by 100th from Tudela.
Spanish swimmer there, lane 6, showing his prowess on that turn. Really took a bit of a body length out of him on that turn. Half body length, really coming in that last 50 here.
So it is going to be Ignacio taking this one, 56.24.
Closely followed by Ricardo, Mount Kelly swimmer there in lane 2. Good swim from him.
Yep, he takes second. Third, Tom Robertson, Aberdeen Dolphin, and Solomon Williams, who led at the halfway mark, ending up just 4th spot.
Good improvements on those entry times there from those swimmers, both knocking under those 57s. Well, if that's their personal best, then that'll be for the first time, so well done to those swimmers.
And on to Heat 3. Jacob Arman, Charlie Eatwell, Oliver O'Halloran, Tony Joe Trett Oliver, Stephen Clegg, the S12 para swimmer, 3 juniors, Daniel Eichel, Callum Rose, and Yahav Halag.
Yep, Stephen Clegg, S12, 100 butterfly world record holder here in lane 5.
Yes, so close to getting the gold in Tokyo. Missed it by a whisker, in fact less than a whisker.
was a good swim. He said that's given him the motivation to keep going forwards, looking towards Paris in a couple of years' time.
So Jacob Arman off to a good start, 26.28. 3/10 up on Eatwell, O'Halloran third, Clegg fourth.
Not much to separate them coming down this field. Stephen Clegg's coming through a little bit.
Oh,
Wouldn't want to be calling this one, Duncan.
This is so close, isn't it? Can you call a winner out of this lot?
Looks like maybe lane 7.
Oh, well done, you got it. 56.87, Callum Rose getting it from Jacob Arman in second place, and Daniel Eichel in the third. Very, very tight across the board there.
It's about as exciting as those heats get. You can't get much closer than that. Look at that. We're talking about the finishes. It all comes down to that last stroke. Callum Rose timing that one to perfection there. 56.87, just ahead of Jacob Arman, 56.96.
Is there such a thing as home advantage for the Edinburgh-based swimmers who use this pool on a regular basis?
You could argue that one.
Anyway, Callum Rose obviously knows just exactly where the wall is here and spotted it magnificently to take the win there. Heat 4, Harry Shalaman, Thomas Payne, Zach Speakman, Mark Elric, William Ellington, Mark Ford, Ruben Rowbottom Keating and Robbie Jones. 56 is the entry times here. This is probably going to be pretty much as tight as the last one.
Yeah, not much separating these guys as they come through 35 meters past that red marker there.
Is it going to be lane 4, Mark Elric?
Yeah, lane 4.
Don't know. Yes, it is. 26.5.
Yeah, these guys work that turn. Really good underwater work there from Mark. Lane 4.
Zach Speakman as well in lane 3 came out that turn nicely in the white cap. It's hard to tell now as they swim away from the camera, but now you get a better view. And it's lanes 3 and 4.
7 going strong up there as well.
Yeah, Ruben Rowbottom Keating.
Part of the Swim of England team.
Oh, looks the white cap Speakman. No, it's Rowbottom Keating getting it. 56.48 for him. 56.62 for Speakman. And Elric third. Ruben certainly has been having some great swims this weekend. 56.48 for him.
Yeah, we saw him the last couple of days. Multiple events, so coming again, 100 fly. See you at 56.4.
On to heat number 5. James Hart, Salvador Gordo, Evan Jones, Daniel Dravchov, Calvin Fry, Michael Ripper, Jake Fabi and Lewis Maxwell. Just looking to see that Evan Jones is there because he missed an earlier event, but he's obviously saving himself for this one in the green cap in lane 3.
Yeah, clearly prioritising the 100 fly this morning, so expect him to be pretty strong here. Again, though, it's tight across the field, not much separating them across the first length. It really is that last 25 when see who can pull through at the end.
So touch with Jake Fabi, 25.87. That is faster than we've seen. Maxwell and Ripper second and third. You see there Fabi in lane 7. Came out the turn slightly ahead, but see if any of them can attack him down this last length. Pushing on in lane 8 is Lewis Maxwell. It still looks like Fabi just about got the edge. Let's see as they come in. Oh, it's going to be absolutely on the touch. And oh, it's that man, Evan Jones, we were talking about earlier. Nailed it at the end there, 55.79.
Yeah,
pretty much.
He's talking about pacing there. Evan came back in 29.2, finished there for 55.7, but I think from memory he's turned about 7th. So it's not all about who hits the wall first at that 50. It is a 100-meter race, so different strategies coming into play there. Evan timed that one really, really well there to get the touch.
Gordo second, Fabi third.
Keep an eye on that time as well, 55.7.
Yep, so Evan is a junior, last year as a junior, so I think you can safely say he's going to get an evening swim. Just the question is in what race. Couple of empty lanes in this one.
Yeah.
So we've got
Lane
Yosifov.
5 and 2 empty.
Yosifov goes in 1. Constange in 3. Mildred in 4. Carswell in 6. Krzyzewski in 7. Carr in 8. This is the first of the 3 cycle-seeded heats. So through the turn, Mildred leads the way.
24.96, that's considerably faster than what we've seen in the last couple of heats.
Mildred third in the McCullough meet recently, represented Britain at Euro Juniors, bronze medalist.
Yeah, strong butterfly swimmer. Known for his 200 fly as well, so finishing strong here.
Looked pretty comfortable as well there, 53.79. I think there's more in the tank for tonight.
Yeah,
Second place, Constange behind him, the Dutchman. He came in 54.38 and Carswell 55.32.
Evan Jones was 55.79 in that last heat, so just ahead of the Israeli swimmer. So it's going to be tight for those last places in those top 16 of this 100 fly.
We're missing lane 7.
No, he's there. I think we've got
He
a
is
full
there,
heat.
is he?
Yep.
He's just hiding from me. Oh yeah, there he is.
Yep, Gregor Swinney was blocking him from our view.
So we've got a full field. Jamie Robertson, Tom Bealey, Miguel Martinez Nonoa, Jacob Peters, Alberto Lozano Mateos, Gregor Swinney, Arbidel Gonzalez Alvarez, and Michael Klimachevsky.
That start from Jacob Peters. Really used that first 15 meters all the way up to the red marker under the water. He is leading us out here in this 100 fly.
He'll be looking for a big year this year. 22-year-old from Bath. Went to the Olympics. Probably didn't go as well as he would have liked to have done. So been looking to come right fighting back this year.
Again, that turn off the wall. Anyone watching at home, any young swimmers watching at home, look at the skills that these swimmers use off the starts and the turns. Spanish swimmer here coming through strong in lane 5 as well. It's going to be close coming down to the finish.
Yeah, Mateus was in the Spanish team at the European Championships, and is he going to edge it here? Looks like he is. He does, 53.56, slightly faster than the previous heat. So great swim there from Alberto Mateus. Jacob Peters just behind him in second place, and Miguel Martinez Nonoa in third, 54.58 for him. So in the 54s, we should be all right, I would think. 55s.
Yeah, 54s looking like they're probably pretty comfortable. 55 lows. Maybe got a bit of a nervous weight. Last heat coming up here. Strong field.
And the lineup here, Prades in 1, Woodward in 2, Pugard in 3, Guy in 4, Ingram in 5, Gammon in 6, Rednich in 7, Bailey in 8.
James Guy in lane 4.
European Championship bronze medalist. Didn't quite get that win in the 200 last night, had to settle for second. So he'll be looking to go one better here. He is going to turn first, 25.04. That's not quite as fast as the previous 2 heats. Ingram second, Pugard third. Nice turn from Ingram.
Ingram looking strong coming down this last 25. Is James Guy going to answer? Looks like he's trying to push his way onto his shoulder.
Yeah, it's tight between the two of them now with 10 to go. And it looks like maybe Guy just edging past now, and close at the finish, about 10th in it. But Guy just getting it 53.61. So Mateus 53.56. He'll have lane 4. 500s faster than Guy. Ingram will certainly be there.
Josh Gammon 55.0.
Mildred will certainly be there. So Josh Cameron 55.04. He's very much on the cusp, I think. Let's see as when he scroll the top 8. Is it coming? Yes, it is. And Cameron's there in 8th spot. So Mateus, Guy, Ingram, Mildred leading that group. There are the potential
have we got a
finalists.
swim off yet? 55.8. I do remember. I think there might be in a 2 times a 55.8.
Oh, you're not wrong. Alvarez there as well. Well, it's all happening here.
100 fly. This could be interesting.
And some of those juniors will be getting another swim. So, some good heat swimming this morning, Scott. You have to enjoy it. One more event to go.
Very competitive heats, all these guys. It's always interesting at the Commonwealth pool. We've only got 8 lanes, so the finals are 8 swimmers, and it does make a difference instead of 10 swimmers. It really does narrow down 8 and 16. It makes a massive difference. So heat's really competitive this morning, which is really good to see. Good practice for those competitions that we were talking about later on in the year.
I must admit, I quite like having 8-lane finals, even if you're in a 10-lane pool. It's just spicing it up in the heats. It does, I think, sharpen people's minds about how to swim fast in the morning as well as in the evening. 200 IM will complete, well, I say complete the proceedings. Of course, we've got the unknown question about how many swim-offs we might have. I think we've identified 3 possible swim-offs, but let's see. Often they get withdrawals and the swim-offs disappear. But before that, we've got this women's 200 medley. Tony Shaw, she's only just out of the water, but here she is again, going in lane 1 for Stirling University. Amy Shields, City of Glasgow, in 2. Then we have Amy Downham and Evie Float, both from Plymouth Leander, 3 and 4. Holly Widows of Mount Kelly in 5. Kirsten Powell of Millfield in 6. Louise Fidders of Hatfield in 7. Abby Kane of Stirling University in lane 8. So Louise and Abby also para swimmers, along with Tony Shaw on the other side of the pool.
200 IM, always a fascinating race. All 4-stroke disciplines. 7 different types of turns in an IM, not in this race because it's long course. If it's short course, you would have 7. 400 IM, you've got 7 different types of turns. It's all about the transitions. Going from stroke to stroke on the 200 IM. Seen that fly to back. Everyone's got their different strengths. Breaststroke, such a vital leg. Do you see people move through on the breaststroke?
Amy Shields and Holly Widows fronting this race at the moment. Coming up to halfway, I think it's going to be Holly in the white cap. It will just lead them through it. 1:07.19, about half a second up.
See a few different types of back to breast turns there. Some people just sticking for a touch turn, others for the more traditional flip. And the new crossover turn that a lot of people are trying to implement.
Is there a clear best one to do, or just whatever suits the swimmer?
I think you're looking at the gold standard, the crossover turn. It's much quicker, it's much more effective. It's all about practicing that in training and trying to apply it in a race. It's not always easy. You've got to judge which arm you come in on the backstroke. Some people are stronger on one arm than the other, so it's got to be comfortable with your plan and confident in your application of that turn.
And do you have to have the ability to be able to do it on either arm?
Yeah, I think that's the ideal scenario. Definitely, I'm sure people will have a stronger arm, but you really want to be able to do it on both, so you're not trying to switch arms quickly as you're coming into the wall. Or if you come in on your weaker arm, you might have to do a different turn, so it is much better to be able to do it on both, but that comes with practice and technique.
Holly Widows here, completely dominant. This is a super swim from the Mount Kelly swimmer, 2:24 her entry time. And she is going to be inside that. Great stuff, 2:23.06. Taking the field apart there. Much tighter for second. Just goes to Amber Downham ahead of Amy Shields. So great all-round skills demonstrated by Holly there. She would be talking about Holly all weekend, I think. Really
Busy
putting
swimmers.
in a series of great swims. Got Samantha Kelly, winners of the National Arena League last weekend. Congratulations to them. I'm sure Holly must have been part of that team.
Tony Shaw and Abby Kane, para swimmers, closing out that heat. Good swims from them.
There's the lineup for heat 2. Ophelia Nerdecker, Hervid Statton's in 1. No swimmer in lane 2. Jane McDougall, swimmer Ireland in 3. 4 is Annalise Bainan, City of Cardiff. Then we have Maya Sopardi, Kelly, Holly McGill of Hearts in 6. 2 more Hervid Statton swimmers, Micheline Stockblow in 7 and Falka Tind in 8. 3 and 4 off well, Jenna and Annalise. Also lane 5, Maya Sopardi.
Transitioning into the backstroke leg.
Expect to see Holly McGill make good progress. We saw earlier in the 200 back. Fastest qualifier, I think, in that.
Yeah, that is right. Coming through strongly on the backstroke leg, really working to her strengths.
Still, I think, just Annalise in lane 4, edging it, although maybe not now. I think it is Holly. So came up from, what was it, 5th place at the end of the fly. See that 35.3 against 37s for the others. I do love having those 50 splits coming up on the timing system for us.
Yeah, such a good addition to the meet.
So Annalise Bainan straight back into the lead when they get into breaststroke, with Jenna McDougall trying to go out with her in lane 3. And Maya and Holly in lanes 5 and 6. Annalise showing the all-round skills that you need as an IMer.
Strong breaststroke there.
50-54.
See who can bring it home on this free. Looks like she is pulling away there. Lane 4, Annalise from the Irish swimmer. And lane 3, Jenna.
So Annalise then has this comfortably in hand. Jenna McDougall likewise for 2nd. And then it's tight for 3rd. 2:23.24. What is it about that turn from breaststroke to freestyle? Always the swimmer that's got the momentum in the breaststroke seems to be able to carry that through the turn. And they may be tight, but faster going into the turn. They come out maybe a metre or 2 ahead.
Yeah, it's an interesting transition because obviously breaststroke's the slowest leg, so it's the one that you've got the least momentum going into the turn, but it is so important just to build into that wall and not drop your stroke rate going into the wall. That's a mistake you see quite often. People struggle, they get stuck in the turn and really don't transfer that momentum from the breaststroke into the free. So definitely is probably the most challenging transition in terms of maintaining speed in and out of the wall.
It's sometimes the most successful one for the ones who do it well.
Yeah, successful as well because you can, big differentials if you can get it right.
Heat 3, talking about swimmers, we're seeing a lot. Amy Canny's back in lane 4 here. Line-up is Paula Adams, Julia Knox, Lara Thompson, Amy Canny, Paula Jus Sanchez, Elise Tannis, Leah Schlossen, Alma Dahl.
We're away here in heat 3. 200 IMs often spoke about as swimming at 100-meter race pace. It's a totally different event from all the other 200s because you've got those 4 different strokes. Lots of different muscle groups you're using in the different 50s, so you can maintain that speed a little bit better than maybe the other 200s. It is really all about those transitions across the strokes and having strength across all 4. Most IM swimmers, they don't really have a weak stroke. It's that real strength across all 4.
So Canny in for first to turn there, but lanes 5 and 6 up there with her. Sanchez in 5, Tanis in 6, and it's Tanis that's just coming through now, the Dutch swimmer. Looking good here in the backstroke.
See how she works this back to breast turn. Does use that crossover turn very effectively there. 104.4, 35.2 for that backstroke. Strong backstroke leg there. It's the all-important breaststroke leg. See some swimmers come through.
Canny is certainly moving up now.
Yeah, lane 4. Amy Canny coming through strong on that breaststroke leg. It's really starting to tighten up here on the breaststroke. Leah Schlossen coming through strong there in lane 7 as well, at the top of the picture.
Yep, it's all tightening up here. Lara Thompson too. And Julia Knox. So we've got 6 swimmers all coming in fairly close here. Led by Schlossen. Great breaststroke leg from her. Canny second, Thompson third. Going into the freestyle then. And you certainly expect Canny to be strong in the freestyle here.
Yeah, looks like Canny and Schlossen moving away from the pack here.
Trying to push into the top 2, Lara Thompson. But it's going to be Canny and Schlossen. Who's going to get it? Schlossen is nice stuff from lane 7. Inside her edge time by about 8/10.
Yeah, good swim. 2:17.7 there for Schlossen. Amy Canny coming in 2:17.9. They'll be looking at that final later on this evening.
So third place there, 2:19.
2 more heats to go in this women's 200 IM. See how those times stack up across the next 2 heats. Strong swimming there.
Yeah, particularly Leah Schlossen there. It was very impressive. I must admit, I thought Amy Canny would wrap it up in the freestyle, but Leah Schlossen was having none of that.
Yeah, it was that breaststroke leg as well. She wasn't really with them on the backstroke and then really came through on that breaststroke, and talked about that transition from the breaststroke to the free. She really maintained that momentum in and out of the wall and pushed home strong on that freestyle leg.
So heat 4, Grace Davison, Brigitte Sagard, Lottie Hosper, Katie Shanahan, Lily Booker, Daria Golovati, Bivali and Karen Aisbrook. And Katie Shanahan, the European Junior Champion, in lane 4, her second swim of the morning. Beside her, Lily Booker.
Off for a national centre swimmer.
Lily, British University's champion recently. She won't be a walkover for Katie by any means. On lane 3 also, good start, Lottie Hosper. The Dutch swimmer, second in Eindhoven recently.
Yeah, it's those 3 on that fly leg. Slightly ahead of the field. Shanahan, look for Shanahan to come through on this backstroke. Definitely a strength of hers. Saw her early on in that 200 backstroke. So coming back here in the 200 IM. Maybe moving slightly ahead of the rest of the field on this backstroke leg coming into the wall.
Yeah, it does look like Shanahan from Hosper. And now Booker in third place. 104.60 is slightly slower than the previous heat, not by much, 10th or so. 6/10 advantage for Shannon over Hosper, and then a quarter of a second to Booker.
Looks like Booker maybe just edging up on Shanahan here on this breaststroke leg.
Yeah, I think you're right. We've seen sometimes Shannon just taking it fairly easy in the heats, and we'll be trying to pick it up hard tonight.
It's a good shot of that breast to free turn we were talking about. Lily Booker turning first, 144.6, 145.4, Shanahan.
So the 2 of them now are going to decide it between them, side by side now down the freestyle. Shannon looks like she wants to just move through and make sure of this. Booker continuing to push on, and then Lottie Hosper, and that's going to be the 1-2-3 as Katie Shannon comes in 2:17.70. In the end, just 600ths faster than Claire Schlossen in the previous heat, so she'll have a lane 4, depending on, of course, what happens in this next heat. I was thinking that was the last heat, but of course it's not.
One more heat to go, last official heat of the morning. Heat 5, women's 200 IM.
And Abby Wood, of course, be very much fancied in this one, so hold your horses about who's going to have lane 4.
Looks like just lane 2 missing in this final heat. All the swimmers are there.
So the lineup: Drew Mackenzie, City Glasgow in 1, Yvonne Brown of Aberdeen Performance in 3, Abby Wood of Loughborough National Centre in 4, Freya Colbert, Nova Centurion in 5, Ailsa MacDonald, Edinburgh University in 6, Silke Hoosman of the Netherlands in 7, Evie Dilley, Swim England in 8.
Watch Abby Wood's skills on this 200 IM. Underwater work and start. Shown there. It's taken a couple of meters out the field on that start.
Is that all just about strength when you can do that, or is it technique in the pull through and all the rest of it before you hit the...
Yeah, some of it's on the technique of the dive, the entry, trying to maximize your velocity on the entry, but also range of motion on the butterfly kick. You know, you want speed, but you need power to be able to create that propulsion through the water. So it's a skill that you can train, but you've really got to work on it in training to be able to transfer that over to a race.
So Wood taking control of this one, it looks like, from Colbert and Brown in lanes 5 and 3, and lane 1, Drew Mackenzie looking pretty good, and Evie Dilley up on the other side. But, well, this is Abby Wood all the way, it looks like. We know she's excellent at breaststroke and freestyle. So when she's in this position at the halfway mark, it's ominous for the rest of the field. That was a super turn, wasn't it?
Yeah, talking about skills, anyone watching here, unbelievable technique on turns, underwaters, efficiency through the strokes, just makes it look so easy. Abby Wood, 4th in this event, Tokyo Olympics.
Yep, European Championship silver medalist as well. What could she do in the Worlds? What could she do in the Commonwealth for England? Fancy her there, although the Aussies and Canadians might have thoughts about that too, and South Africans, I guess, as well.
Yeah, it's quite an open event on the international field, that 200 IM, so good opportunities with a lot of swimmers around those sub 210s, 207s, so she's coming here strong down the final 50s. She may well just ease off here.
Oh, not really seeing it. She's pushing it relatively hard still. Good race developing for second here between Freya Colbert and Yvonne Brown.
Yeah,
working
right.
hard.
Abby Wood not really taking the foot off the gas yet. It's good to see.
2:13.07. So finishing on a 32. So I guess actually she did probably take the foot off the gas a little bit there.
Freya Colbert, 2:18.1, and Yvonne Brown rounding up that top 3 there, 2:18.8.
I think they both might make it through.
Yeah, I think so. There was a few 2:17s. I think we saw 4 2:17s, so 2:18. We'll have to wait and see if that's enough.
Find out in a moment. And we'll also find out how many, if any, swim-offs we've got. Now there is the top 8. Wood, Shannon, Schlossen, Canny, Booker, Colbert, Brown and Thompson. So there's the ones who will be in the B final. Hosper, Sanchez, Varley, Tanis, Knox, Gard, McDonald and Widows. 2:23.06 there, so we don't have another 2:23.06, just checking that. Bainan and Dilley will certainly be in the junior final. Evie Dilley along with Golovati, you would think, of Mackenzie. Others will have to wait for the results this afternoon.
Looks like we do have a swim off, Duncan, that 50 breaststroke. So the swimmers at the other end of the pool, we'll have to wait and see for confirmation about that. It's interesting having swim offs in the morning when the afternoon heats, all the results provisional. So the finals, it's interesting having swim offs when the finalists are still provisional, but Not sure how they figure out that one, but here we are.
Well, I guess the problem is if you don't do that and they go away and then they come back, they've then got to swim twice in the evening session at the beginning maybe and have a...
Yeah.
For a 50, that's not so much of a problem, but for a longer distance, that would be a problem.
Yes, I guess it's just another good opportunity to race. I'm sure the swimmers will make the most of it here.
So this is Owen Corby, Swimmer Ireland, and Marcos Yakovides for Bath University. .50 breaststroke. So looks like the Irishman just into his stroke first. Well, quite contrasting styles here. Marcos, very quick turnover, and it's getting him just into the lead. Very much a sprinter stroke, you would think.
Head to head coming into the final 5. Looks like the Bath swimmer might take this one.
Yep, he did. 28.61 and 28.69. So that was close, 800s, but Marcos prevails and he breaks the tie there. Now, I think that is it. It looks like the officials are making their way off the poolside. So we are down with 7 sessions now. And you can see there that the coverage for the afternoon session is slightly later than last 2 days, so we'll be starting swimming at 12:45 this afternoon. So we'll come on air at 12:40. We look forward to your company then, but for now, from Scott Coby and myself, I'll wish you a very good day from Edinburgh. See you later.